Hi, everybody out there in Facebook Landia. My name is Jessica Helen Lopez, and I am your FemC for this evening's event, 100 Year Celebration Centennial Online event honoring women's right to vote. We are a Facebook live stream event as well as a GOV-TV broadcasted event, and you can also watch this historical event brought to you by the city on the YouTube channel. So please tune in, please share, and please create watch parties because we are honoring once again, 100 years celebration of women's right to vote. So just to give you some background, soy Chicana, soy mestiza, soy madre, soy maestra, and I'm very, very honored to be the FemC of this event this evening. We are going to commemorate the women's right to vote with an ABQ-based online broadcasted event, as we are doing now, that will highlight not only female-identified voters, New Mexico government officials, local artists, and other speakers across the state of Nuevo Mexico, but also span across our 50 states, our country's 50 states, tribal lands, and territories. This is an all-exclusive event that recognizes that the struggle and women's movement to fight for the right to vote was not always encompassing of women of color, but we aim to correct that and uphold the necessary core values that include the diverse heritages and cultures of all women-identified individuals, of our varied histories, and our lived experiences. So bienvenidos. We're very, very happy that you've tuned in. And if you can remember, you should create watch parties so that you can share this event with your familia and your community at large. So thank you for joining us. Speakers tonight include New Mexico Governor Michelle Lujan Grisham, Congresswoman Deb Haaland, Pueblo of Laguna and Jemez, Albuquerque District 7 Councilwoman Diane Gibson, U.S. Representative of New Mexico's 2nd Congressional District, Xochitl Torres Small, Pamela Herndon, CEO of the KWH Law Center for Social Justice and Change, and more. The event also includes performances by local statewide spoken word artists, singers, musicians, DJs, live painters, dancers, vendors, entrepreneurs, and we will additionally showcase messages from newly minted 8-year-old female identified voters from New Mexico's 33 counties, and of course our 50 states, tribal lands, territories, etc., as well as stories by our voters of their resilient votership representing our diverse historical and lived experiences. And last but not least, we're also going to be highlighting the stories of our council members here in the city of Albuquerque, including the wonderful councilwoman, Diane Gibson. So I'm going to share with you this event and who we're sponsored by because it couldn't happen without them. So here's the list of sponsors, and then we're going to move into a land acknowledgement because that's very, very important. This event is sponsored by the American Association of University Women, AAUW, the Rape Crisis Center of Central New Mexico, Santa Fe Now, Santa Fe County, Gutierrez Hubble House, League of Women Voters, Vote for 11, KWH Law Center for Social Justice and Change, McHard Firm, Omega Psi Phi Fraternity, Albuquerque City Councilor Diane Gibson, who's also in this room right now, but we're very socially distanced, and so we're definitely playing it safe, like I hope you all are out there in Facebook Landia. Planned Parenthood of the Rocky Mountains, Bernalillo County, Rio Grande Credit Union, U.S. Eagle Federal Credit Union, and CU Safe. Those are our sponsors. So a big thank you to our sponsors. We couldn't have done this without you, and we very much appreciate you. So again, if you've just tuned in, this is an online event. It is Facebook Live. It's broadcasted on GOV-TV. I believe that's channel 16. And you can find that on Comcast, and then as well as YouTube. If you go to the Facebook page, ABQ1 Media, you can share a watch party from there. So let's beget more watch parties with our community. I would like to also acknowledge the original caretakers of the land, the original Tiwa people. I also acknowledge the other Pueblo and indigenous peoples who call this place home. I acknowledge the 4 directions, the sky, and the earth. I acknowledge the mountains that bring us rain and the river for bringing life to the valley. I acknowledge the plant nations, the winged nation, and all other beings that we share this place with. For our ancestors and our future generations, Ometeo, 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 Ometeo. And with that, I'm going to introduce the lovely Cristal Zamora. She's going to be sharing with us a blessing of danza, traditional Mexica and Azteca danza with drum. So thank you so much, Crystal, for joining us and making this happen today. And it looks like we're looking for her in the Zoom boxes, and that happens. That tends to happen sometimes. So thank you for your patience and your flexibility, folks. We really appreciate it. If you've just tuned in, this is 100-year celebration of the women's right to vote. It's a historical 100 years, and I hope that folks are registered to vote or have found their voting poll, or if you're not able to physically vote, have looked into absentee voting. We will definitely share that type of information today in this 3-hour event. And since we cannot necessarily get our friend Crystal on, we're going to actually move forward. And we're going to hear some words right now from Councilwoman Ann Gibson and also the City Council members. We have a short video to share with us, but I'm glad to be breaking más palabras, breaking bread with Councilwoman Diane Gibson. So we're going to pass it off to her.
Thank you. Thank you, Jessica. I also want to thank you and Pamela Herndon and everyone else who contributed generously to this event, celebrating the victory of the 19th Amendment. We don't rest on this achievement from 100 years ago. Instead, we're inspired by it to always move forward toward equal access to the ballot for all women. I am proud to share this opening with my female colleagues on Albuquerque City Council, the first ever with a supermajority of 6 women councilors making up 2/3 of the council. My grandmother's name was Alma Amelia Hervela. She was the daughter of a Finnish copper miner and only days from her 21st birthday when the 19th Amendment was ratified. After moving from the Upper Peninsula, she started a new life in Detroit as a single working woman. She shared her happy memories from those times with her grandchildren. I was one of them. Alma was particularly proud to have witnessed the suffragettes leading parades in Detroit. They were the women leaders who traveled throughout the country, working for the vote and speaking at rallies. Alma admired them a lot. I remember her pride when she described when the government finally formalized women's suffrage. And that was exactly the word she used, finally, with emphasis. And all that, though that battle was won, we know it was many years and many more battles before women of color, poor women, had access to the ballot box. It took dedication and sacrifice so that all women, in fact, all Americans, might participate in our democracy. And it continues today. Each ballot that we cast is an affirmation of their selfless work. Carrie Catt was a leader in the suffrage movement. She also marched in the streets of Detroit and may very likely have been one of the women my grandmother watched. Miss Catt spoke before a Tennessee audience when their state house had very narrowly decided in favor of suffrage. These are her words. The vote is the emblem of your equality, women of America, the guarantee of your liberty. That vote of yours has cost millions of dollars in the lives of thousands of women. Women have suffered agony of soul, which you never can comprehend, that you and your daughters might inherit political freedom. That vote has been costly. Prize it. I do prize my right to vote, just as I do yours, and I will be voting this November. Thank you, and I hope you enjoy this first ever program. Thank you.
Thank you so much, Councilwoman Diane Gibson. And now we're going to hear from the rest of the council members via a video that's been pre-recorded.
I'm Brooke Bassan, Albuquerque City Councilor for District 4. It is so exciting that we are celebrating 100 years that women have been allowed to vote. Voting is so important for each person to have their views, opinions, and beliefs heard. We are all lucky to live in a country that strives to allow everyone the opportunity to be represented. It is my honor to be there for the constituents in my district and in our city, and to work hard to be a voice for those who need it most. Although it's a privilege to vote, it is also our duty. Whether you agree or you disagree with our elected officials who represent you, I encourage you to always vote and to always be proud to do so. Congratulations.
Good afternoon. I am Cynthia Borrego, City Councilor for District 5, and I'm happy to participate in the 100th year celebration of the women's right to vote. 2020 marks the centennial of the ratification of the 19th Amendment. On February 21st, 1920, New Mexico voted to ratify the 19th Amendment and stood with states across the nation to ensure that women were no longer denied the right to vote based on sex. I'm humbled and happy to stand with the women who suffered and organized for my right to vote today. Thank you.
This is a great year for celebration. Voting is one of the greatest privileges, rights, and obligations that we have as citizens of the United States of America. We should be so proud of it. When I was first eligible to vote, I went in, registered to vote. I have been voting in every election thereafter, and I consider it, as I taught my daughter, voting is an obligation. This was what we must do to keep our country great. So congratulations, all of you women and all of the men who helped make this happen and understand how important it is.
This year, we are honoring and commemorating the 100th anniversary of the passage of the 19th Amendment, guaranteeing and protecting women's constitutional right to vote. Let's continue to pay homage to those that led the fight for equality at the polls, like Mabel Pinghua Lee, Harriet Fordham Purvis, and Zakala Shah, by voting this November and every election.
You know, if you feel so inclined at home to clap, you may do so. We're gonna just get the rules of the decorum that has to happen on the Zooms and the internet, and we're just gonna make them our own. So, and you can also do some snaps as a spoken word. This is what I do. So just to let you know, in advance, thank you for your flexibility and your patience. There's a lot of videos and timing and cues and internet connectivity that we've got to think about. Here I'm at the city building downtown, and GOV-TV is right below us, and they're helping us cast this event. So there's a lot of multitasking happening, but this is such an historical occasion for us to come together and to celebrate it during these times of pandemic that if things go a little awry in advance, we apologize, but we're going to do our very, very best to make it as smooth as possible. But that was a lovely, lovely video from council members here in the city of Albuquerque. Now we're going to bounce it over to my homegirl, Crystal Zamora, and she's going to bless us with some danza.
Hi, sorry about that technology, right? Wali, Tonali, Nine, Solim Tonatiu. Buenas tardes. Me llamo Solim Tonatiu, and good evening. My name is Crystal Zamora. I represent Calpuli Ejecat, an Aztec or Mexica dance group here, born and raised in Albuquerque, New Mexico. To me, voting is very important as an Indigenous person, because although 100 years ago we got the opportunity as women to vote, it wasn't until 1962 that Indigenous people got to vote on this land that is Turtle Island, that belongs to Indigenous people. And to this day, still honoring that Central and South Americans fight for the right to be acknowledged in this land, their original land. So with that being said, Tonantzin Coatlicue, our Mother Earth, in dedication to all women and to the Mother Earth.
Muchas gracias, Cristal. Thank you to you and to your drummer and to your community. We appreciate you. Gracias. All right, folks, so we're going to move forward, and we have the lovely Marcy Silvestro, who's going to share a song with us depicting the struggles of women that they've encountered to get the 19th Amendment passed. So please welcome Marcy Silvestro. Bienvenidos, Marcy.
Called upon the younger people to take up our mandate, to continue to vote, to continue to carry the torch, to continue to be with us as we honor 100 years. I'd like to share a song I wrote years ago at a big event in Washington, D.C., and it talks about remembering the women who fought for the right to vote, but also the fact that we ourselves have to pass on the torch, and that we need to keep standing in courage and justice.
On August 26, 1920, after 72 years of campaigning, through the efforts of Susan B. Anthony, Elizabeth Cady Stanton, Lucy Stone, and thousands of others, women won the right to vote.
I look back and I wonder where all your lives have gone, where the memories and some struggles, what things made you so strong. So I remember the women whose lives like wildfire made them stand up and speak out for themselves. Yes, stand up and speak out for themselves. I'm looking and I wonder where all my years gone. I'm living through my struggles. My spirit becomes strong, and I remember living was life deserves to stand up and speak out for myself. Yes, stand up and speak out for myself. so gone. It may wonder. Tell young girls all you see. Live with courage. Work for justice. Take visions from your dreams. And don't who's living out in stars. Don't just stand up and speak out for themselves. Let's stand up and speak out for themselves. She'll stand up and speak out for herself. 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 So let's all stand up and speak out and vote. Thank you.
Hey, great job, Marcy. Woo. You get lots of snaps. Muchas gracias. Thank you, mujer. Way to go. Thank you so much.
Thank you.
So we're going to move into a video collage that was created by newly minted voters. This is very special to me because my daughter, Mia Rivera, just turned 18. She graduated from high school. She's off to college and she registered to vote, and she's already cast her first ballot, and she'll do that again in the next elections. And so we're going to share a video. This is video one of two collages of 18-year-old female identified voters who just registered. So let's watch.
Hello, my name is Nayeli Chaparro. I'm from Las Cruces in Doña Ana County, New Mexico. I am 18 and will be voting in the 2020 elections because it is time for our generation to speak and be heard.
Hi, my name is Haley Smith and I live in Hobbs and Lee County, New Mexico. As a young person, we take up 50% of the voting population. So by us voting, it will help raise awareness to issues at hand that we care about and things that affect our lives daily.
Hello, my name is Ali Sanchez and I graduated from Des Moines High School in Union County, New Mexico. I am 18 years old and I am committed to voting in the 2020 election because it is an important constitutional right that women had to fight for. And to see the change we want to happen in our country, we have to do our part in making that change happen.
My name is Alyssa McAllister and I live in Portales in Rosebud County, New Mexico. I'm 18 years old and I'm committed to voting in the 2020 election. I'm excited to vote because I know there are changes that need to be made in our state and our country. I'm excited to have a voice.
Hello. My name is Campbell Leonard. I'm from Santa Fe County. I'm 18 years old, and I am voting in this election to honor women who empower me to use my voice, like Congresswoman Alexandria Ocasio-Cortez, who embodies the power of women in leadership.
Hi, I am Gemma Martin. I live in Clovis, Curry County, New Mexico. I'm 18 years old, and I am committed to voting in the 2020 election. This is a historically controversial election coming up, and it's nice to think that we have a voice in how it'll turn out.
Hello, my name is Nakona Peters. I am 18 years old. I reside in Alamogordo in Otero County, New Mexico. I will be voting in the 2020 elections because I believe in participating in democracy. My mother has always voted and I will follow in her footsteps. I also pledge to continue to vote in the future.
Yes, all of those young voters, they deserve some snaps. Marcy, you're already on it. Look at Councilwoman Diane Gibson. That's right. That was great. You can't see it from here, but I'm covered in goosebumps. That was an amazing collage. And we're going to have another set of testimonials from 18-year-old voters later in this event. So I just want to mention somebody that you are seeing on the screen, and that's Celeste Spoken Word Garcia. And she is busily painting right now. Can you wave to us, Celeste? Celeste isn't going to speak because the microphone doesn't quite work with the angle with her painting, and I don't want her to have to readjust all that. But I am going to read a little bit about Celeste and the work that they do in the community. Celeste Spoken Garcia, aka Spoken Art, is a Burque-born multimedia artist who brings life to mixed and multimedia works that include acrylics, stencil work, graphite, and other mediums. You can view their work by searching Celeste Spoken Garcia on Facebook or Spoken 72 on Instagram. And so, now more than ever, in lieu of the pandemic and the quarantine, lots of artists, local artists, have lost out on some wages, working artists. And so this is an opportunity for you to support those artists. So if you are interested in purchasing not only the painting that Celeste is working on right now, but any of their other art, I own some of their art as well. So support your local artists if you can. And Celeste, thumbs up, you're gonna vote? Thumbs up? Yes, thumbs up. Cool, right on. Thank you so much, Celeste. We appreciate you being here. And Celeste is going to be painting the entire 3-hour event. And so we're really excited to see what will come of the canvas. So again, muchas gracias, Celeste. Yes, it is my honor to introduce this next speaker. I don't have a formalized bio for this amazing mujer because it constantly changes. I think the bio is like this long, this long, this long, this long. But she is an amazing individual, an artist and a community leader. And I'm very glad that she agreed to be with us this evening. So please welcome Poeta Ebony Isis Booth.
Hello, good evening, everyone. Thank you so much to Jessica and the organizers of this event for inviting me into this space. I'm here today to share a poem with you and also, much like everyone else, to echo the sentiments of the importance of the right to vote. I also come to you as an African-American woman in Albuquerque, New Mexico, meaning that makes me one of a small portion of a demographic base here in the state. We represent arguably anywhere from 2.8 to 3.8% of the population, depending on who you ask. And so when you split that number in half, according to the gender binaries, that gets us to about 1% of the population. So I tongue-in-cheek like to refer to my Black girl magic as the other 1%, if you will. So what I want to share with you today is a poem, but also bring into this space and call in the names of my ancestors, our ancestors in this movement, your ancestors in this movement as it relates to the right to vote, namely Ida B. Wells. We speak her name and invoke her energy into this space, for Ida B. Wells drove abolitionist movements and anti-lynching movements and informed and educated many of the suffragettes who brought forth this reality for white women who were permitted the right to vote 100 years ago. I would also like to speak the name and lift up and bring into this space Mrs. Fannie Lou Hamer, who also forged to make it possible for me to be able to vote in this country. Her home was shot up 16 times in response to her inquiring about the ability to be able to register voters in Mississippi. And I also want to call in the name of Septima Clark, who was an educator who helped to prepare Black folks in the South for poll taxes and testing at voting locations as an educator and as a mother of our community. So I speak their names and lift them up and express deep and abounding, unending gratitude to them for their lives and their work. The poem that I'm going to share with you today is called Be the Capital. So as a part of that 1% of Black Girl Magic in Albuquerque, I had to write a poem to celebrate us. So I want to share that with you today. And it goes like this. Ain't no other way to be than the capital character, boasting 2 humps on the unswerving plumb line of the letter B in Black Girl Magic. We out here. We be clattering into museums and saloons, a dazzling spectrum of melanin, sun-kissed orange soda sweet lips dripping theory and compliments that'll make you wish you never drank the Kool-Aid laced lies about our legacy. We be a ministry. Call our incantations church. Bring the belongings of your formerly betrothed to our backyards and burn them in ritual. Soothe your soul in the roux of our cast iron pots. We be conjuring in the colors our coffee turns while we drizzle cream and stir with spoons that clink the sides of Granny's teacup. When we swirl, we call the sunken ones back up. We named them all Lazarus. Our granddaddies taught us when to cock the guns, so we loaded them with black tourmaline bullets, the buckshots embossing the Beatitudes in braille across the backsides of all them ne'er-do-wells. We be regal. Call our coils crowns, matriarchs in the making, rulers of undiscovered empires nestled at the intersection of bosom, belt, and empire waist. We be Mami Wata, bearers of destiny, damming the Nile behind our eyelashes. We be sobrinas of adobe dust, born in love with the wind, so our voices carry seeds of wisdom whispered to dandelion wishes, manicures always polished to glisten. Under the sandia sunsets, we sip mango nectar from mason jars and spit watermelon seeds into the Rio Grande. Lay sunflowers for Oshun as alms. Invite her blessings by kissing our palms and tending our honey pots. We be warriors. Swords sharpened to eviscerate, for the debates can be lengthy and our life expectancy doesn't afford us time to waste. We be stolen sorceresses, penciled into the margins, refusing to be erased. Our inkwells are infinite, indigo details, indelible, irrefutable hustles incubated our intellect in coven spaces. We be aggregating content, testing feedback loops inside our bamboo hoops, aggravating the patriarchy every time we open mouth cackle at the wondrousness of it all. We are rare and precious, few yet vital, incumbent on your liberation. We are significant. We are here. We always have been. Thank you.
Woo! There's so many goosebumps up in this room right now. That was the magic that is Ebony Isis Booth. I told you all. Didn't I say this? Muchas gracias, mujer. We appreciate you so much. And thank you for sharing your beautiful poetry and your wisdom on this historical celebration. 100 years, right to vote for women. Everybody, we're going to vote. We're going to vote. We're going to vote. We're going to vote. We vote. We're going to continue to vote. So muchas gracias. Now it is my great honor to introduce the next person on deck, who is Supreme Court Justice Judith Nakamura. Supreme Court Justice is going to share some words with us today, and we thank her very much for being present. Gracias.
Thank you. Thank you so much for having me here today to commemorate passage of the 19th Amendment. We have 3 of our 5 women on the Supreme Court are women, and we're just delighted to participate. You know, certainly passage of the 19th Amendment is an event frequently regarded as the most significant milestone in advancing the role of women in our society. And indeed, it was the women's vote that has empowered women to confront and mold the social and economic forces that have constrained our independence. Issues regarding working conditions, violence against women, family and medical leave, equal credit, childcare and property rights, issues that benefit from having the different needs and perspectives represented, just like any other group that has been excluded or marginalized. You know, women fought for decades to garner the right to vote and overcome prejudice and entrenched social norms, and as a result emerged as a meaningful political force. And despite the long and complicated struggle, often marked by ridicule and abuse, to gain this most basic right to vote, so many of us do not vote. Did you know that in the last general election, more than 45% of the women did not vote? And the decision to not vote is surrender. Failing to vote makes you invisible. Your opinions and your values go unheard. This equates to not having the right to vote at all. So you have to vote, as if it's your last time you will ever be able to vote, as if it were your last chance to affect change. Who is going to watch out for your interests if you won't? So how do you meaningfully claim your right to vote? I have 3 quick suggestions. First, identify the candidates who will advance the positions important to you and the well-being of our community. Who reflects your values and ideals? What does a candidate say about women, and who do they appoint as their advisors? Pay attention to how our candidate talks about and behaves towards underserved populations and the issues that are important to you. Their views and attitudes will have an impact on their policies. Number 2, help others to find their way to understanding and participating in our democracy. You know, I got involved when some women in my community approached me when I was just 17 years old. They spoke to me about the importance of voting and becoming politically involved. And I do credit that early education and our civil discourse that occurred for where I am today. But do remember that there are people for whom voting is not a choice as much as a personal situation. There may be a physical limitation or a technological challenge that impedes their ability to access the voting process. You don't have to look far to find people to help. Finally, vote the entire ballot. You know, most people vote only in presidential election years, and even then, a substantial number of people do not go all the way down the ballot. Our local races, including the judicial races, impact every aspect of our daily lives most directly and frequently on issues from zoning to education to taxes and crime. These elections have consequences. Every vote and every race matters. You know, so much of today's battles over the right to vote are driven by political advantage or partisan politics rather than over which person is best for the job or which ballot initiative is important to our community. You know, I don't have a global fix for that, but I suggest it can start with each and every woman and each and every new voter who have to live with the consequences and ramification of decisions made by today's elected officials simply by exercising that hard-earned right to vote. I have this brochure here that was widely distributed in the early 1900s by the National Association Opposed to Women's Suffrage. And it urged a no vote on women's suffrage because, quote, in some states, more voting women than voting men will place the government under petticoat rule, end quote. While I certainly don't advocate for a government run entirely by women, we do represent more than half the population, and our views and our vote help to ensure a government reflective of those it governs. So I thank you for having me here tonight, and I ask you to please vote. Thank you.
Thank you so much. Thank you so much, Supreme Court Justice Judy Nakamura. We really appreciate you sharing your words with us, and be like Supreme Court Justice Judy and vote. With that being said, we're going to transition now into another video. I'm really happy to introduce this next video. You know, she's actually sitting in the room, but she's way over there because we're very, very safe in these offices, and we're very much more than 6 feet social distancing. But this next video features Pamela Herndon, and she is the CEO of KWH Law Center for Social Justice and Change. And also accompanying her thoughts and wisdom is a singer as well. And so we're going to hear from both Pamela and our songstress.
Though the storms keep on raging in my life, and sometimes it's hard to tell the night from day, still the hope that lies within is reassured as I keep my eyes upon the distant shore. I know He'll lead me safely to that blessed place that He has prepared.
Hello, my name is Pamela Herndon. I'm the CEO of KWH Law Center for Social Justice and Change. I'm going to tell you the story today of the fight and the struggle for Black women to get the right to vote. They always knew that they would get the right to vote. The question was simply when and where I enter. Although Black women's contribution to the suffrage campaign was rarely recorded, Black women had a consistent philosophy of universal suffrage. They said, everybody has the...
Though the storms keep on raging in my life, and sometimes it's hard to tell the night from day, Still the hope that lies within is reassured as I keep my eyes upon the distant shore. I know he'll lead me safely through that blessed place that he has prepared.
Black women found themselves fighting racism and sexism simultaneously as they struggled for the right to vote. But what was interesting about this period is that there were a number of men who were over the clergy at the time who said, you know, there's no divine law that separates men and women. They are all treated the same. But when it comes for women in the political arena, they are not treated equally. We think there is a difference. This hurt Black women because they felt that they deserved to be supported in every single aspect of their lives.
Ooh. I realize sometimes in this life we're gonna be tossed by the winds and the currents that seem so fierce. But the word of God, I've got an anchor. It keeps me steadfast, unmovable, despite the tide.
The suffrage movement spanned a period that witnessed the changing status of women. From slavery to freedom, from rural to urban, from being illiterate to being literate, from being unskilled to going to skilled professional areas. None of these deterred them, however, and Black women continued to work to be a part of the suffrage movement. The Alpha Suffrage Club, organized by Ida B. Wells in Chicago, found that many women were told that they should be home taking care of babies, not trying to wear the trousers in the family. But W.E.B. Du Bois, who took Frederick Douglass's place as the leading male feminist of this time, said, you know what? In order for the Black race to be lifted, every single person must have the right to vote.
My soul's been anchored. My soul's been anchored. My soul's been anchored. Anchored in the Lord. My soul's been anchored. My soul's been anchored. My soul's been anchored. Anchored in the Lord. Billows may roll, breakers may dash, but I shall not sway because he holds me fast. Though dark the days, clouds up in the sky, I know it's all right because Jesus is nigh. My soul's been anchored. My soul's been anchored. My soul's been anchored, y'all. Anchored in the Lord. My soul's been anchored. My soul's been anchored.
When the focus turned to suggesting that educational requirements should be the standard for determining whether or not a person should have the right to vote, Black women simply shook their head and they said, who are you to determine whether or not there should be a vote given to Black women? And then they said, well, there will be fraud if we have so many Black women voting. We can't keep up with all of this. And Black women said, you cannot make that statement. You whose hands have lynched Black people, you whose hands have killed Black people when there was no reason at all to do it but for the color of their skin. It is because of those women that I can say I have the opportunity to champion the rights of women to vote, to support those who advocate against discrimination, and to make sure that we are electing people who support civil rights and social justice, and they are the ones who lead the democracy of our country. And thank you.
My soul has been anchored, y'all. My soul has been anchored. My soul has been anchored, y'all. Anchored in the Lord. My soul My soul has been anchored in the Lord.
Yes. And hey, y'all, that was Rayetta Beatty singing in concert with Pamela Herndon. So that was lovely. Let's give them another round of applause. Let's do that. Yes. So I'm going to introduce the next video. And this is from Congresswoman Deb Haaland. She sent us a very special message for this event. And Congresswoman Deb Haaland of Laguna and Jemez has some words for us.
This year, we celebrate the 100th anniversary of the ratification of the 19th Amendment, which was a huge accomplishment. Though the 19th Amendment is an important milestone, we have to remember that not all women were granted the right to vote by the 19th Amendment. Black Americans face many barriers to the ballot box that stop them from voting, such as poll taxes and voting tests. Native Americans weren't granted citizenship until 1924. Even though we had served our country during many a wartime, and this country wouldn't exist without Native American communities. 100 years after the ratification of the 19th Amendment, we're still in a battle for access to voting, especially for communities of color and working people. I've organized for years, and across the country, I've seen their tactics: closing polling locations, limiting voting hours, setting excessive requirements, and now attempts to get rid of vote by mail. To celebrate the 19th Amendment as a milestone, we have to recognize the struggles those organizers endured to expand the right to vote for women. We must honor those sacrifices by working to ensure all our communities have access to the ballot box. Today, women are taking the lead. We hold legislative seats, manage massive companies, raise babies, lead efforts to scientific discoveries, and we vote. We'll continue to fight to ensure everyone's right to vote is protected.
That was Congresswoman Deb Haaland, y'all. We're so very happy that she was able to send us that message. And with that, we are switching around just a little bit because we want to make sure to be cognizant of time for everybody who is dedicated this late afternoon and early evening to making this event happen. So it is with great pleasure that I get to introduce Secretary of State Maggie Toulouse.
Thank you, Jessica. Hi, everybody. Happy to be with you all on this Women's Equality Day, to be joining all of you and celebrating the 100th anniversary of women's suffrage here in our great nation. And in, I think, really classic 2020 COVID Zoom meeting form, I had some, I think, really lovely remarks prepared in advance and cannot pull them up right now because that is how technology is working. But I hope by now, because all year long, we have been doing a lot here in New Mexico to celebrate this really important, really meaningful 100th anniversary. I hope that I can just be able to draw on that experience and also speak from my heart about the significance of this occasion, not just for the women of, all of the women of this country, but for the women of our state. I think that, as I often say, at the ripe old age of 44, I have always lived in a country and my entire life have always known that women in the United States of America have been treated as full citizens in the sense of having that sacred right to vote. And I grew up in a home where the right to vote was indeed sacred and was practiced. And I was taken to the polling place for the first time when I was 4 years old to go into the voting booth with my mother and to cast her ballot for president. And that stayed with me through my whole life, and I think has really been a memory that I've held sacred and dear. And of course, the moment I turned 18 years old, really, unlike many of my peers, I just felt compelled to register and vote right away and to be participating in this amazing democracy experiment that we have here in this country. And here we are in the year 2020. Women have had this right, this sacred right, for 100 years. And the truth is we have come so far since then. Not only have all women in this country been granted the right to vote, but also those of us, particularly our sisters of color, African Americans and Native Americans, also had to continue that struggle and to fight for decades after women that were not of color had easy passage into the voting booth. And that fight went on into the 60s. And of course, some very momentous legislation was passed, the Voting Rights Act of 1965, that gave everyone that unrestricted right to vote. But here we are in 2020, and in many ways, we are still continuing to fight that fight. And we continue to fight it on many fronts. Of course, as somebody who oversees elections and is charged with running free and fair elections for every voter of the state, providing that access to anybody, any citizen of the state who wants to have their voice made in our democracy, that sacredness is very important to me. And it should never be a choice that a voter should have to make between their health and their right to vote. So we're working, of course, on that front here in New Mexico with regard to the pandemic and voting. But across the country, there are many administrative and many other kinds of burdens that voters still face, whether it be a long drive and a lack of transportation, whether it be the ability to get the time off from work and caring for children, or maybe even parents, right? Women across this country, and particularly women of color, are still struggling with many, many barriers to the ballot box. So it's really incumbent on us, those of us, women who have this right to vote now 100 years later, to continue pushing and to continue making our elections more fair and more equal, and to continue electing, most importantly, more women to government, to all offices of government. We have come so far, and we see so many of ourselves now at every level of government, from Congress on down, and even potentially the vice presidency. But we still have so much work to go, and I really look forward to continuing that fight and that work together with all of you. Thank you for having me today.
Thank you so much. Thank you so much for sharing your words with us, Secretary of State Maggie Toulouse. And I know that you have another engagement after this, so we really appreciate you carving out the time so you could participate with us in this event celebrating 100 years right to vote for women. I wanted to share this with you. So check this out. This was created by Heather Obatusin. This graphic art, this amazing art, in celebration of our event. Got our sponsors on the back, and it was printed by Mountaintop Tees. So many thanks to Heather and Mountaintop Tees. We're going to see if we can make it available for folks. We're going to work on that. So stay tuned for some information if you're interested in a t-shirt. I can't promise anything, but I'm very happy that I've got my shirt here. Next up is a second collage videos of newly minted 18-year-old voters. And then also on deck, we have two Stone Bettys, and that is Kayla and Sara, Kayla Mansfield and Sara Roman. They are local entrepreneurs and artists. And then following that is Poeta Mercedes Holtree. So I just want to give you an idea of who's next and who's on deck. So let's go ahead and tune into the video collage.
Hi, my name is Rachel Rogers, and I'm from Eddy County, New Mexico. I'm so excited to be voting for the first time this November, and I pledge to vote for the rest of my life.
Hi, my name is Jordan Sanchez, and I'm from Santa Rosa in Guadalupe County, New Mexico. I'm 18 years old, and I'm committed to voting in the 2020 election because I know that the decisions made today will affect future generations for years to come.
Hello, my name is Coel Brandenberger. I live in Corona in Lincoln County, New Mexico. I'm 18 years old and committed to voting in the 2020 election because your vote is your voice and every ballot matters.
Hello, my name's Maggie Loudermilk, and I am from Dexter, New Mexico in Chavez County. I am 18 years old and very committed in voting in the 2020 election. as I think it is very important and our duty as an American citizen to vote and to have my voice heard.
Hi, my name is Malika Gottschalk and I live in Las Vegas, New Mexico in San Miguel County. I pledge to vote so my voice is always heard and counted.
Hello, my name is Maria Ballou. I am from Albuquerque, New Mexico, and I am 18 years old. I am fully committed in voting in the 2020 election because when you vote, you are choosing the change you want to see implemented on a local and federal level, and you are choosing the future for you yourself and future generations.
Hi, my name is Michaela Maple. I'm from Albuquerque in Bernalillo County, New Mexico, and I'm 18 years old. I'm committed to voting in this election because it is a crucial time for our generation to get out there and get their voices heard in order to create a world that we'd feel safe bringing future generations into.
Hi, my name is Monica Pareja. I'm 18, I live in Bernalillo County, and I plan to exercise my right to vote now and for the rest of my life because of all the women in the past who made sure I would have a say in the future of our nation.
Newly minted voters. Let's give them some snaps. Powerful testimonials. And we've got a wonderful future ahead of us, especially with voters that are committed as they are to vote. Someone said vote for the rest of their lives. So I hope that for all of us and for all of you. All right, so we're gonna move on to talk a little bit to Sara and Kayla of Two Stone Betties. Hola, Sara and Kayla. Thank you for joining us. You know, earlier I spoke of our live painter who's still going at it. That's Celeste Spoken Word Garcia, and you know, being artists and local artists, right? Especially during these times of pandemic and quarantine, and what that has had an impact on artisans financially, especially, you know, working artists. And so we're just glad that Sara and Kayla are here today to share their wares. Can you tell us a little bit about your origin story of Two Stone Betties and tell us how we can purchase some of your delicious, delectable jewelry?
We would
For
love
sure.
to talk about ourselves.
What? Well, we started out as roommates originally, and that's how Two Stone Betties was born.
We started out as friends, and then we became roommates, and
Yeah.
then we're both artists. We've always been artists. That's how we became friends, is through the art community here in Albuquerque. And then we moved in together, and both being artists, you know, like we needed to figure out how to pay bills, and this is what we
How do
did.
we make this happen?
We joined forces, and then became Two Stone Betties. And 6 years later, we are both fully self-employed artists. We somehow survived the pandemic, which is incredible.
Still
We're
surviving.
very thankful and grateful for everybody who continues to support us. It is hard. It's a lot of work. We don't ever stop. You know, we're entrepreneurs.
Can't stop, won't stop.
Something that makes us unique in that entrepreneurial game is that we're artists. So everything that we sell, we make. So it's not like we're ordering things from China and then, you know, bringing them out, which there's nothing wrong with that.
That's what
but
makes
it's
us
just
different too, and sets us
right.
apart.
It's just an aspect of what we do that makes it a little bit trickier, a little bit more complicated, and makes it, you know, something to be proud of. So we're super proud of that. We're really thankful to be here with all of you today. We did just recently revamp our website. So what we do, we make these big, crazy, cool, fresh earrings. There's a few of you on these screens that know all about Two Stone Betties and what we do. But we try to uplift and we try to empower. We really try to get our voice out there through our art. So that's one of the most rewarding parts, is like, even through this pandemic, like people messaging me to tell me that like it was the highlight of their day to get the mail. You know, like it's
They're
important,
waiting.
you know,
They're waiting.
we take for granted, but like we joke a lot that like, you know, earrings are joy, you know, because like they bring joy, and they can make people smile, and they can inspire people, and they can empower the people who wear them, you know. So we're really proud of being able to do that, and being able to do that and feed our families and keep roofs over our heads is something we're forever grateful for and proud of.
That's hashtag real talk right there.
That's
Making
hashtag
sure
real
we're
talk.
paying
You
bills,
can-
right?
you can
That's
get
right.
us at
That's
Two Stone
right.
Betties. You
I
can
commend
find us.
both of you. So Sara and Kayla, Sara is going to share a poem with us, I believe. in just a
Sure.
bit. Is that still, are you still down, Sara? But I want to ask you each a question, if you could answer why you think it's important as a woman, as a female entrepreneur, to vote.
I'll let you go first.
I think it's important to use your voice, and right now is very important to do that. And so get out there and vote.
For me, oh, so my turn. For me, voting I think is important. Yeah, because it's where you let yourself be heard. It creates solidarity with other people that feel the same way as you. It helps protect our rights. It helps protect our ability to do this for a living. Like we're entrepreneurs, we're artists, and our company's called Two Stoned Betties, and we mean it. We do partake in recreational smoking when we want to, and medicinal smoking when we want to. And voting means that moving the culture to a place where people can accept that. We're trying to break down these stereotypes of the lazy stoner, because I'll tell you what, 6 years deep, I am not a lazy stoner. Like, we get things done, and we can still do that and partake for our own sanity. And I think that ties right into voting, and making the change that you want in the world. So I think that's a pretty good reason to vote.
Voting affects policy and change, and especially represents your opinion. So I hear that. Gracias, Sara and Kayla. Sara, you want to get down with the poem?
Sure. Before I do, I just want to say, because I don't think we really mentioned it, you can find our stuff at twostonebetties.com. We just recently revamped our website, so it got kind of a facelift. So we would love to see some traffic on there, twostonebetties.com. Please give us likes and follows on Instagram and Facebook and all of that. So I will do a poem. I don't know if it's appropriate or not, but it's just kind of how I feel. And it was an older poem, and it's really incredible that I wrote this probably 10 years ago, and it still has relevance today. And so that really tells me that, like, we do need to get out there and vote, and we do need to, make moves towards some real change. So I think I called this poem Culture Shock. The culture cures the madness. The chaos has no fear. The people are still living with eyes that don't see clear. They're searching for the answers, the who, did what, and how. Hell-bent on finding lies, knowing the truth might save them somehow. Knowledge greater than question. How have you been living? How you want to live? Unaware of the radar that's committing us of sin? Does the man upstairs own you, or are you owning him? And how's your hospitality been? Still pretending to be free in a world shackled by war and killing? Leaders think they're fly, fishing for power, misusing and abusing their bait. Their boats will surely sink if they continue to behave this way, and honestly, I can't wait. Though I was made of to live above the water, I've no fear of getting my feet wet. This is just the tip of the iceberg. Chaos, you ain't seen shit yet. And there are no excuses for not utilizing your resources. Please don't assume that the peaceful are weak. This comedy writing tragedy is not tongue-in-cheek. It's a dilemma to be taken seriously. How you gonna survive with drones in the sky aimed at a target and it's your life? How you gonna tell the truth when the planes are still blasting white lies all over the sky? How you gonna eat your food when organisms are genetically modified to make this your last bite? How you gonna save yourself when we can't even save Black lives? So be aware of who you are. I believe that in spirit, we start out equally high. So don't let the world bring you down and mess with your eyes. Think with your mind. Put your money where your mouth is. Where it is the only weapon that we've got left. Remember, the rich are there for a reason, and it's fine time we quit buying their bullshit and financing their treason. It's time to take care of our families. Don't compromise love's seeds. Learn to till the soil and watch life grow. You know, we're all in this together. Will we survive? I really don't know. But when I die, I will have already achieved freedom. Because ain't no evil on this earth gonna make me bleed weak. I believe in good things. I have solid dreams. And each morning, I wake to achieve them.
Yeah.
That's it. My biggest fan right here.
Muchas gracias. Thank you, Sara and Kayla. You can check out their art and their jewelry on Two Stone Betties. They've got a new website. It's hard to see, all of the beautiful wares back there through the little, the Zoom lens, but it's worth your while to go and support local artists and check out Two Stone Betties.
Also, Downtown Growers Market. If you want to see us,
Downtown Growers
we're
Market.
back at Downtown Growers Market every Saturday morning from 8 to noon.
Okay, wonderful. And if you're in Burque, go to the Downtown Growers Market on Saturday. So poetry is a form of resistance and medicine. Raúl Salinas, the late great Chican Indio poeta, said, "Poesía está en la calle." It can be found in the streets. It can be found everywhere, at your kitchen table, chilling on your bed, zooming into Facebook world and on GOV-TV and YouTube. So I'm very, very happy to introduce this next poeta warrior, Mercedes Holtry. Mercedes, can you talk a little bit about what you do to support youth in our community, and then share a poem with us, por favor?
Awesome. Thank you, Jessica, for inviting me to share my voice in this space. And thank you all for so far a really wonderful celebration. I'm over here with goosebumps behind my screen. You can't feel the energy, but you can definitely feel the energy. So thank you so much for having me. I do a lot of youth educating in Albuquerque. I run a poetry program that teaches a number of different schools how to creatively express themselves using spoken word and poetry. And I have a really awesome team of poets who help me achieve that goal every fall and spring semester and in the summer too. So I work with Warehouse 508. I'm their poetry ambassador. Ooh, fancy title, right? Poetry ambassador and youth director. And so I'm really thankful to be in this space. And I vote because, for a number of different reasons. One, because I am the daughter and granddaughter of immigrants, but I'm also the daughter and granddaughter of people who have lived here on this land for many generations before it even called itself America and before there was a border. So I vote to represent those communities and those ancestors and those family members that are, very close to me. I vote because my community, my youth, my LGBTQ youth, my brothers and sisters who are of different races, different backgrounds, different demographics need me to vote because we're all in this together. I vote because my ancestors fought really hard for me to be here today, and what I do today impacts the generations to come. And one day when I'm an ancestor, I want to look down and be like, I did the right thing. So that's why I vote, because it's important. So y'all should vote because, yeah, do it. It matters in the long run. So yeah, this is my poem. Whoops. And it's called Strong Women. Strong women, when you show up, the world is thankful for your arrival until they're not. Everyone wants a strong woman in their corner until the lightning storm that is her mouth strikes the tree stump that is a man's ego, setting it on fire until the entire patriarchy of a forest burns to the ground. We lightning storms be that way sometimes, unapologetically charged and ready for a revolt. Let's dance with the rain. When the patriarchy tells you you don't move until I say you're ready to move, little girl. You show them just how well your hips and your heart and your feet move to the beat of a cumbia. You dance circles around these fools. Let the sweat dripping from your body be your anthem. Just move, love. Move like you are the sound waves, the bass, the melody, the hum of bees, the speed of hummingbird wings. You are a force of nature, a bringer of truths, a voice waiting to stand the test of time, and they will try and silence you. Like your ancestors aren't rooting for you in the form of thunder, gritando, andele, mija. We didn't die for you to be dormant. Be active, be beautiful. Wake up and kiss the dawn. Breathe like the air belongs to you. Dream like the stars are within arm's reach. And don't you dare stop moving when they tell you to stand still. Show up like you have nothing to lose because you don't. Show up because you see the magic before you can conjure it, and you know the brujas behind you will come ready with energy to take back whatever it is that was stolen from you. Together, you will heal the broken. Show up because without you, Who knows what messes these men will make, and you ain't nobody's maid or mama until you choose to be. So don't clean up or cover up their catastrophes. Instead, make your own. Drop the paint and the pain into a masterpiece and title it Love. Title it The Things I'm Willing to Do to Make Things Better. Title it Self-Transformation, and then wait and watch how the people start listening, how the change finally turns into the blessing you manifested. There's a certain power that comes with being woman, and it's the tolerance for turning pain into beauty. We don't just birth humans through blood and stretched skin. We birth bonds and sisterhood, leadership and community. We take the scraps of paper and fold our success origami style until our paper cranes soar farther than we ever thought they would, so that no one can ever tell us, I told you you can't fly. Ain't that silly? They thought we wouldn't learn to use our wings one day so that we could show up Phoenix style, rising through the ashes. Now we respond, I told you there was no stopping me. I am the creator of my own destiny. My spirit cannot be tamed. So take your pity, your shame, your disdain, and your own pain, because I no longer carry what does not belong to me. I carry what matters, whether that be myself, my community, my family, my history, and definitely my victories, and I will always show up. That's what makes me a strong woman. That's what makes me me. That's what makes me a storm of lightning. You just never know when it's going to show up. Cool. Thank you guys for having me. And shout out to Two Stone Betties. Hey, I got you guys, rocking you guys. And shout out to Ochola, because I definitely have a shirt that was dirty that I was gonna wear.
Hashtag real talk. Poetas. So Mercedes is also the founder of the only 501c3 nonprofit slam poetry community here in Albuquerque called Burke Revolt. They host something like 6 shows, I think, on a monthly basis. They're all online right now. But in addition to that, of course, they support the youth through various programming. But it's the first of its kind. Slam poetry has been around in Burque at least 23, 24 years. And this is the first time that communities come together under the leadership of such an amazing mujer to found a nonprofit. So way to go. Thank you so much, Mercedes. We appreciate you. Muchas gracias. All right, so now it's my distinct pleasure to introduce our next speaker, Sunshine. Sonlatsa Sunshine Jim Martin. She's Dene. She wants everyone to know that she's been working to get women registered since high school. Thank you for that very hard work, that much needed work, hard work and heart work. So thank you so much, Sonlatsa. And if I'm mispronouncing your names are important, so please let me know. And she's going to be accompanied by Sherry Willero, who is also Dene, and will be singing the Strong Woman song. Thank you for joining us today.
Thank you. Can you hear me? Okay. I always check because we have very poor internet services out here on the reservation, so I always double check. I want to say to everyone, this has been a wonderful program so far. I'm really enjoying everything that I'm hearing, and it feels wonderful to be celebrating and acknowledging the 19th Amendment. I want to formally introduce myself to you appropriately. My name again is Sonlatsa Jim Martin. I am from the Navajo Nation on my mother's side, and I'm from the Modoc Nation on my father's side. And I am from the Navajo Nation, born and raised in a community called Totlagai, New Mexico, which is located near the Arizona border. I want to also properly introduce myself and my language to all my relations. Inshlenigi eya tsanapetni inshle atl andene abashichin atl andene dashnaleto ashihentashiche arot Totlagai nasha. It is an honor to be asked to share some words regarding this special occasion, and I'm thankful for all of the wonderful speakers. I want to share, for my part, just some history that I hope we can get out there more and more about the Native Americans and our role in this historic event. I think for me as an activist for social justice, as a Native American Indigenous woman, as a mother, and as a leader in my community. It is far too often that our history is not told in this country, in our role. And so I would like to challenge everyone who's on the call and listening across the internet and the World Wide Web to understand that the 19th Amendment comes from the democracy of the United States. And when you look at the origins of the Constitution and where the concept of our democracy in the United States originated from, you'll find that the concept came from the Haudenosaunee Confederacy, formerly known as the Iroquois Confederacy. And when you look at the way the United States was formed, it was based on indigenous knowledge, indigenous cultures, indigenous tribes. And so that is something that I think is lost when we talk about the concept of democracy in this country and how it impacted the way we formed our nation and the influence of indigenous people. When we talk about the concept of United States, the Haudenosaunee Nation had the concept of united tribes and how we would equally treat each other, how they would equally treat their citizens within their nation. And I would like to tell you that in 1988, Congress adopted a resolution which acknowledged this history, this historical fact. And we need to get this out there more and more as we celebrate occasions like the 19th Amendment. It's very important to understand the roots of the United States and its relations with Indigenous people. In that concept, gender balance has always been a concept and a theme in our Indigenous communities. There was always a concept of balance among men and women. There was always a concept of balance within the earth in our role among all species on this planet. Many of our cultural songs, our teachings, our ceremonies, and even as we speak in our own Indigenous languages, there's a duality and there is a concept of balance. And in that, you'll see many of our cultures and our traditions will have symbols of men and women, of a female spirit and a male spirit. You'll also see the balance showing that all human beings have both a male and female spirit within us. And so it is concepts like that that I think we need to acknowledge as we talk about women's rights, and we talk about our role in society and in history. So with that message, I want to just continue to share that for Indigenous women in this country, we have had a long history with colonization, assimilation, and oppression. And as you know from many of the news and important social justice issues across the nation, missing and murdered Indigenous women is one of the highest priorities for our communities. What we started with as a equal treatment for individual women in our communities has deteriorated over time through colonization and oppression to the mistreatment of Indigenous women, to the role reversal and the concepts of women's role as a matriarch and as a leader in her community being turned. And so for me, my passion has always been to bring back those teachings and to educate young women, young girls, and let them know that what they read in the history books, what they're taught in the classrooms is not the truth at all. I want to continue as we celebrate to get that education out there, get that awareness out there about not only Indigenous people's role in the 19th Amendment, but also our role in society around the world and our relationship to the earth and protecting our environment. It is all about balance. And so I thank you for this. I do want to commend everyone for their work. We have a huge journey in front of us. We have a lot of work to do to turn the times, but I think we are in historic times right now to make significant social justice changes and to unify and come together with all of our allies to make a difference for all of our communities. So with that, I want to say Ahiyahat. Thank you for this program. And I think I get to turn it over to some wonderful music. Thank you. Ahiyahat.
Hello, everybody. This is Sherry Walletto. Can you hear me? Okay. So yad Sherry Walletto Yansha, Logan Nishle, Kilachini Bashichin, Kiani de Shachido to the Chini E the Chanele, Toro, New Mexico, Edanasha. Hello, everybody. My name is Sherry Walletto, and I am of the Diné Nation. I come from Torreon, New Mexico, which is on the eastern side of the Navajo Nation. I just wanted to express how very honored I am to be a part of this event, the gathering. The words shared are so powerful, and I've got the chills. And so I just wanted to say, our freedom of expression and agency have and is still under attack. And so I think when we make spaces like this and we share insight and love and support, that makes me feel really good. And so I'm happy to share space with y'all. So in emphasis of our last speaker, I wanted to share a song called The Strong Woman Song. So yeah, I hope y'all like it. And here we go. Yeah, thank you guys so much.
Muchísimas gracias, Sherry. Thank you so much. We
Of course, thank
appreciate you. And thank you, Sonlatsa, as well, for joining us today. Your
Of
words
course.
are powerful, important, and impactful. And we appreciate you uplifting our Indigenous relatives. Thank you very much. All right, y'all. So I just want to give everybody a heads up that we're going to have an intermission soon. First, we're going to have a few more poets come up, including the newly appointed City of Albuquerque Poet Laureate, Mary Oishi, followed by a couple of other youth poets that are super dynamic and leaders in their community. During our intermission, we have our sister Vanessa Bowen, who'll be DJing for us. So you want to stick around, or at least put the volume up really high on your laptops or your television to listen to Vanessa on the ones and twos. But it will also allow you some time to step away from your laptop if you need to grab some water or feed your dog or whatever the case may be. So with that, thank you all for tuning in. We're still going at it. We're going to be on this event until roughly 7 p.m. And we've got a slew of speakers and artisans that will be sharing their stories with us about 100 years right to vote for women, passing the 19th Amendment, and how they vote and how they express their right to vote and share their opinions about how they view the world. So thank you very much, Mary Oishi, for joining us. A big congratulations to you. You were just newly appointed the City of Albuquerque Poet Laureate. Let's give her some poetry snaps for that. Felicidades, Mary, and thank you for being here with us today. Bienvenidos.
So you wanted me to talk about being a Japanese American and voting. Did you still want me to talk about that? I'll just briefly say that I've voted in every election since I was 18 years old, and that to me, human rights and constitutional rights are very, very important. As you know, the Japanese Americans had a terrible experience during World War II, and I tour with the JACL players, which is the Japanese American Citizens League players, throughout New Mexico, doing Breaking the Silence and other stories about the internment camps. So we traveled to Hiroshima also to put that on. But anyway, to me, voting is baseline. That's the least you should do. But you should definitely vote as a citizen of this country. So I wrote this poem called Democracy's Angels. Abigail Adams said, "Remember the ladies," but they only remembered white land-owning men. For Abigail Adams, I vote. Sojourner Truth asked, "Am I not a woman?" to the Women's Convention in Akron, Ohio. The year was 1881. For Sojourner Truth, I vote. Victoria Woodhull ran for president 48 years before most women were able to mark her name. For Victoria Woodhull, I vote. Susan B. Anthony, arrested for voting, refused to pay the fine. Champion of abolition, then women's suffrage, selfless, the first woman on a coin. For Susan B. Anthony, I vote. Ida B. Wells, journalist, used the power of her words, refused to go to the back to appease the Southern contingent in the women's suffrage march. Instead, she held her head high, brought her sisters to the front of the fight. For Ida B. Wells, I vote.
Alice Paul sent a parade down Pennsylvania Avenue. Mr. President, how long must women wait for liberty? Picketer, civil disobedient, political prisoner on a hunger strike, force-fed raw eggs through a feeding tube. Too radical for some, but her treatment in prison woke up the nation. The 19th Amendment was finally passed. For Alice Paul, I vote. Fannie Lou Hamer, organizer of Mississippi's Freedom Summer, speech so compelling, LBJ called a press conference to preempt it. Threatened and shot at while trying to vote, arrested while trying to register more, beaten so badly in prison, it sent Fannie Lou to an early grave. This is what happens in what we call America, she said, with the sadness of a loving wife betrayed. For Fannie Lou Hamer, I vote. Shirley Chisholm, first Black woman to run for president. If they don't give you a seat at the table, she said, bring a folding chair. For Shirley Chisholm, I vote. Multitudes unknown to history who marched and bled, and some of them died. Though their names are all gone, their courage survives them. What they fought for lives on. For democracy's beautiful angels, I vote. I vote.
Yes. Thank you, Mary, and congratulations again on your new appointment as the City of Albuquerque Poet Laureate. That's a 2-year term. Our first Poet Laureate was Hakeem Bellamy. I'm happy to say that I was the second Poet Laureate. The third one is Manuel Gonzalez, and actually his daughter is present here with us today, and she'll be sharing a poem shortly. The fourth one was Michelle Otero, and now it's Mary. So that means that we get to call you PL5, Mary. So heads up, Hakeem's gonna call you PL5.
Thank you.
Muchas gracias. All right, so just to let you all know at home again, we're gonna have a couple more poets. Then we're gonna hear from DJ Vanessa Bowen. When we return, we're gonna hear from All Chuela, another local vendor owned by Michelle, founded by Michelle Sena and currently owned by her. She's throwing up a peace sign. That's her in the backyard. They've got music for you too. We support our local artists. And then we're going to hear from another storyteller, Sylvia Ramos. I see her here. She's joined us on this Zoom. Hola, Sylvia. And then accompanied by Brenda Ortega Singer. And we'll continue to move on to hear from more speakers. And we're going to run till about 7 o'clock. So with that, I'm going to turn it over to Sarita Sol Gonzalez. And then after Sarita Sol Gonzalez, we're going to hear from Emily Jaramillo.
Hello, my name is Sarita Sol Gonzalez. I am 15 years old. I am a poet, born and raised down here in Burque, New Mexico. And I'm not old enough to vote yet. I'm only a sophomore in high school. But I feel that voting is such an important thing for anyone to do. Mostly because it's such a right that allows us to let our voices be heard in ways that can make a change. Because being a poet, I've always felt that words have so much power. And so allowing yourself to vote is allowing your voice to be heard. So I wrote a poem for this. The title of this piece is Voice. We weren't seen as enough. The world we lived in didn't see us as more than machines to pump out men. Each daughter, a maid. Each woman, a wife. We were never willfully given the right to vote. And those of us who held more melanin on their wrists having to work twice as hard than their sisters with fairer complexion. We thought we had all won the battle when we heard the celebration, but we quickly realized this victory was not for us all. Women of color still had to endure 42 more years. We held our heads high and our words loud to let our voices be heard, to let it reverberate in their heads like the call of the drum at the balls of our feet. They say the fight ended in 1920. It is 2020 and the fight is not over. For a century, we have fought for respect, striving to survive in a world made for men. We still fight for equal pay. We still fight for our own bodily autonomy. We still fight for equality. We still fight, and we still vote.
Yes, thank you, young poet. I love that brown fist of yours too. Muchas gracias, Sarita. Thank you so much. Our next poet up is Emily Jaramillo. She's a founding poet of Res Spit, meaning they spit poetry from the res. But it's an all indigenous, all queer poetry collective that I got to lovingly coach. She's I believe it was 4 or 5 years she spent in the Voces Summer Writing Institute program. So did Sarita, by the way. And she just recently traveled last summer to Brave New Voices in Las Vegas to compete against close to 500 other, well, there was 500 poets that attended the event. And so she represented Albuquerque, and she actually made the final stage. So hi, Emily, what's up? Can you introduce yourself and share a poem with us?
Hino kakima hirimba na tatai ham turnapaf and get iham liz and ha iham dershan. Wuma by utham and ham shetu, the squillami on nakaath. Good afternoon, everybody. My name is Emily Jaramillo. I am 18 and a recent graduate of the Native American Community Academy. And I come from the pueblos of Isleta and San Felipe, and I will also be pledging to vote this year, as I just recently turned 18. So this piece that I will be performing for you is titled Light Skin. They call me light skin, as if my feet grazing the plaza sand is merely inadequate healing. You value my blood quantum on paper more so than in my veins. I signed my enrollment card in crimson ink. Not light skin as in Santa Fe Plaza tourist, but light skin as in wet sediment baking on the riverbank in my pueblo. So I'm native enough to receive the discrimination, but not your per capita, right? Because my tongue can twist its voice into more than just one language. They call me light skin, maybe as white as a puppet strings that seem to be tied to every which limb, separating my body produced from an unnatural concoction of dancer or potter, rancher or traditional east side of the river or west side of the river, pueblo or intruder, imposter, impersonator, imitator. They call me light skin, maybe because they're scared of multiplicity, scared to be an outcast by the one pot that makes them whole. Precious little white girl, Weta. Don't you know your moccasin wraps aren't supposed to match the color of your skin? Don't you know that dust on plaza feet is not supposed to look dirty? Little white girl, you're dirty. They call me light skin, maybe because I was born from a broken mold. An accident in most senses, flawed texture, fragmented pieces, faulty color. The potters of my land mold their children to be whole, baked in southern New Mexico sun with designs that have meaning that they are taught to never touch a broken piece of discolored pottery. Herkam, thank you for letting me, share this space with everybody. I really, really appreciate it, and I love being here. Thank you.
Thank you, Emily. Yeah, I just got to hang out with Emily last night because she co-hosted a poetry online event called UndocuQueer, and it's a collaboration, a cross-movement building collabo between New Mexico Dream Team, which is a national network to advocate for undocumented and our immigrant relatives, as well as NACA Inspired Schools Network. So Emily was co-hosting that last evening. So muchas gracias, Emily. All right, y'all. So with that, we're going to turn it over to Vanessa Bowen. I'm not sure if you have the ability to maybe say hello and introduce yourself, Vanessa? I know we're going to be able to hear your awesome music. Vanessa is like a Renaissance woman. She does it all. But welcome, Vanessa. What's up, girl?
Can you hear me? Hi, everyone. I am Vanessa Bowen. I am an artist and graphic designer, but on the side, I DJ, and my husband produces music. So I'm in my studio. So hello, everyone. I would like to share some house music with you all. So I'll switch over to my interface and we'll begin. Thank you.
Thanks, Vanessa. And for folks, that are at home and need a quick break, you can do that now, but just make sure you put the volume up on your laptops and your devices and your TVs so you can hear Vanessa. Vanessa, can you spin for us for about 5 minutes? Bueno, gracias, friend.
Come together and live as one.
I wanna be seen by you. I want to be noticed. Oh, to be seen by you.
Hey, everybody, that was Vanessa Bowen. Let's give her some snaps. Vanessa, you're so awesome. You're so amazing. You know, Vanessa is responsible for those amazing hats that went viral that say, Make America Native Again. This is Vanessa. She does it all. She's also an auntie at the Native American Community Academy, and and she assists our Hiyupo group, which is a Lakota word that means to move forward. And it's a boys and young men of color. She's an amazing auntie, and she participates in our indigenous storytelling programming there. I also teach and work with the Native American Community Academy. So one love. Thank you, Vanessa. Muchas gracias. All right, y'all. So we're going to kick off into the next half of our event, celebrating 100 years right to vote for women, the passing of the 19th Amendment. My name is Jessica Helen Lopez. Soy Chicana, soy mestiza, and I am your FEMC for this historical event. I just want to remind folks of our sponsors. Big thank you to the American Association of University of Women, AAUW, the Rape Crisis Center of Central New Mexico, Santa Fe Now, Santa Fe County, the Gutierrez Hubble House, League of Women Voters, Vote 411, KWH Law Center for Social Justice and Change, McHard Firm, Omega Psi Phi Fraternity, Albuquerque City Councilor Diane Gibson, who's in the house, Planned Parenthood of the Rocky Mountains, Bernalillo County, Rio Grande Credit Union, and U.S. Eagle Federal Credit Union, as well as CU Safe. Thank you so much. Muchas gracias, sponsors. We appreciate you, and we are very grateful for your sponsorship to make this event happen. So it is my pleasure to bring up the next speaker. Actually, it's a video, and this is great. I'm excited to see this video. It's representative of our states and territories: Puerto Rico, America Samoa, U.S. Virgin Islands, Guam, and the Northern Meridian Islands. And this is one of three videos. So let's check this video out.
Hi, my name is Amy Larrabee Coates, and I'm from South Bristol, Maine. I cannot wait to vote this November in honor of all those who've come before me to fight for women's rights. I hope you'll join me because every vote counts.
Hello, I'm Anna Nygren from Arizona. I'm voting in 2020 because it is our right and duty. As the daughter of Mexican immigrants, my parents instilled in me the obligation to exercise my vote in order to bring about change to society.
Hello, my name is Audrey Waple. I live in Atlanta, Georgia, and I'm voting in 2020 because it's an opportunity to participate in the change that I wish to see for our future.
Hello, I'm Bonnie McCracken from Massachusetts. I'm voting in 2020 because my vote is my voice. This upcoming election is the first time in Massachusetts history every registered voter can choose to vote by mail. To ensure your voice is heard on November 3rd, please vote. Thank you. Please stay safe, everyone.
My name is Bridget Slater. I'm representing the state of Massachusetts. On this 100th anniversary of the 19th Amendment, I honor the legacy of Ida B. Wells with my vote in 2020. Her immense courage in expanding opportunities for women inspires me to raise my voice and advocate for what I believe in.
Hi, I am Shrita Ellens, President and CEO of Women Employed, and I am representing the great state of Illinois. Many of my foremothers and sheroes marched and sacrificed their bodies for my right to vote. In 2020, I will vote in honor of Ida B. Wells and Fannie Lou Hamer.
Hello, I'm Donna Rivas from Colchester, Vermont. I'm voting in 2020 because voting makes a positive impact by helping my community, state, and nation for the greater good. I want my voice heard. My power is my vote.
Hi, my name is Erin Adair Hodges, and while I'm proud to be from New Mexico, I now call Kansas City, Missouri home. I'm voting in 2020 because white women can no longer accept the privilege that white supremacy accords them for their silence. Silence is complicity, and it's time that we shout.
Hi, I am Hannah Weissong from Phoenix, Arizona, and I will vote in 2020 because as an educator, I want to ensure that our government supports public schools.
I'm Judy Ashmore from Kentucky, and I'm voting in 2020 because I care about things like Black lives and immigration. And the right to vote is important.
Hi, my name is Julie Gannon, and I'm from Ohio. I'm voting in 2020 because I think it's one of the most important things I can do as a member of this country, in any year, but especially this year. I want to make sure that my voice is heard, because democracy only works when everyone participates.
Hi, I'm Casey Duran from North Dakota, and I'm voting in the 2020 election because I was raised to know that my voice has value and my vote is an investment in the future of America.
Hello, I'm Kelly Kirk, and I'm from South Dakota, and I'm voting in 2020 because my vote is my voice.
Hello, I'm Leah Spencer from Utah. I'm voting in the 2020 election because 100 years ago, our sisters fought to give us a voice at the ballot box. I'm going to use my voice. Are you?
Hi, I'm Allison Thompson from Norman, Oklahoma, and I'm voting in 2020 to make sure that all voices are heard.
Hi, I'm Evie from Montana, and I'm voting in 2020 because that's how you make change.
I'm Erin Weissong from Chicago, Illinois, and I am voting in the 2020 election because I care about education and the environment.
Hi, my name is Georgianne Berg and I'm from Michigan. I'm voting in the 2020 election because not everybody in this country is getting a fair shake. Our government should represent us equally, and it should look like our country, half of which are women. After 100 years of having the right to vote, we owe it to our sisters, past and present, to take part.
Hello, my name is Crystal Montoya from New Mexico, and I'm voting in 2020 so that my voice is heard for myself and for my daughter.
My name is Claire Ankrum. I live in Richland, Washington. I am voting in 2020 because I would like to see stronger leadership in the areas of education and gender equality. I'm also voting to honor the memory of my two great-grandmothers who were denied the opportunity to vote.
Hi, I'm Carol Stevenson from South Bethany in the beautiful state of Delaware, the first state. I'm voting in 2020 because I want my voice to be heard. As a woman, I stand on the shoulders of those women who came before me and fought for the right to vote. I urge all women and everyone to not only vote, but to get out and run for elective office. Make a difference in your town, your community, your state, and your country. Thank you.
Hello, I'm Mary Weissong from Fort Wayne, Indiana. I pledge to vote in 2020 to support candidates and issues for peace and justice for all, especially through education and economic equality.
Hi, my name is May Dowland. I'm from New Hampshire, and I'm voting in 2020 because I support honest, intelligent, and experienced leaders for our great country.
Hi, I'm Jenny Hine, coming to you from the state of Wisconsin. I'm going to vote 2020 because I want my vote to be counted as a working mother of 3 children.
Hi, my name's Tracy Roberts. I'm from Idaho, and I am voting in November because I believe women's voices must be heard throughout all levels of government for an equitable society.
Yes, those statements, those testimonials were so inspirational. That's amazing. Wow, Erin Adair Hodges, silence is complicity, and it's time that we shout, and we're certainly shouting right now. So we'll have another video collage later in this event of women testifying to the power of voting and their commitment to do so. Next up, Alchola with Michelle Sena. Michelle's going to tell us a little bit about how she founded Alchola, what it's like to be a small locally owned business and a voter as a woman. And there's going to be a small fashion show. Just a heads up, Michelle, we're going to give you about 3 minutes, but you can continue displaying any clothes or any wares for the entirety of the show. So that'll still be going. Celeste Spoken Word Garcia is still live painting. Thank you so much for being with us, Spoken Word. And after that, we're going to bring Sylvia Ramos Cruz to share her story, as well as Brenda Ortega, who will share a song with us. And then we're going to hear from Sochi Torres Small. So welcome, Michelle.
Hi, Jess. I'm sorry I'm having technical difficulties as always.
Do you want me to give you a break and then we'll come back to you?
No. Hold on. Can you hear me now?
Yeah.
Sorry. I don't know. My thing is saying I'm on safe driving mode. Okay. I'm here. Can you see me? Can you hear me?
You're breaking up a little bit. You're a little choppy and you sound like a robot.
Sorry. Yeah, let's take a break and come back to me.
That's what we'll do.
Sorry.
That's okay.
Thank
Sounds
you.
all right. This is what happens in the Zooms sometimes.
Live world.
We're gonna hear from Sylvia Ramos Cruz. Thank you for being with us, Sylvia, and then that will be followed by Brenda Ortega, who'll share a song with us. Hola, bienvenido, Sylvia.
Hola, muchas gracias, and thank you very much all for being here today. The suffrage movement in New Mexico, as everywhere else, grew from women's desire to have the right to life, liberty, and the pursuit of happiness acknowledged, from women's desire to be recognized as capable of participating igualmente en el gobierno that ruled their lives, from knowing that their fathers, husbands, and male relatives did not see the world exactly as they did, and therefore could not and should not have the ballot for them. From a realization that no matter how thoughtfully they had studied the issues and how carefully they had proposed an agenda for change, politicians were unwilling to listen to a group with no political voice. In the end, women had to cast the ballot themselves, and they set out to get it. It took 46 years of constant work by hundreds of women in every corner of this state. They worked through women's clubs, temperance organizations, and suffrage leagues. Although most of the women in the organization were Anglo, Nuevo Mexicanas, who were the majority of women in the state at that time, also wanted the franchise. The two most prominent ones were Nina Otero Warren, 34 years old when she joined the Congressional Union for Women's Suffrage, and 20-year-old Aurora Lucero, who joined her cousin Nina in the campaign. Both believed in women's rights and championed the teaching of Español en las escuelas and the preservation of the Spanish cultural heritage of New Mexicans. Both were fully bilingual and were able to speak to the almost 50% of New Mexicans, men and women, who did not speak English at that time, as well as to everyone else. In 1915, 21-year-old Aurora Lucero spoke truth to power, asking 75-year-old Senator Thomas Catron, who chaired the Senate's Select Committee on Women's Suffrage, to support the right of women to vote. She said, "I speak for the Spanish-American women who want the best possible laws when their home life is the question at issue." Sadly, the senator was opposed to giving women the vote. The newspapers reported Senator Catron could not accommodate the ladies. Shortly thereafter, he was defeated in his bid for re-election. Nina led many battles for the vote, beginning at the Constitutional Convention in 1910, where she advocated for women's votes in matters pertaining to schools in the state. She lobbied members of Congress for their support for years. And in 1919, she led the victorious effort in the state legislature that finally got ratification. Many other Hispanas worked for the vote. Without their determination and perseverance to get women's votes into the New Mexico State Constitution, Soledad Armijo Chavez de Chacon would not have been elected the first woman Secretary of State in New Mexico in 1922. In 1924, when she acted as the chief executive officer of New Mexico during Governor Hinkle's absence from the state, she also became the first Hispanic woman of New Mexico and the country. Puerto Rico, the island nation where I was born, became part of the United States in 1898. Its citizens were granted United States citizenship in 1917. Despite that, Puerto Rican women could not vote until 1925, and then only the educated women. The rest of the women waited until 1934 to access the ballot box. I remember as if it were yesterday, dressing up, putting on my pink mohair coat to go register to vote. That was 1968, during the Vietnam War, when 18-year-old men could be sent off perhaps to die in a foreign land, but couldn't register to vote as they were not yet 21. I remember walking up the hill to the county clerk's office in the chilly air of November, just 9 years after I had arrived in the Bronx, unable to speak more than rudimentary English. I remember the pride I felt, thinking this was my first grown-up action as a citizen. I have always voted in local, national, and state elections. Voting is the right and duty of every citizen. El voto es el derecho y el deber de toda ciudadana y todo ciudadano. Por favor, voten en noviembre. Muchas gracias. Thank you very much.
Muchas gracias, Sylvia. Thank you so much for sharing that important history with us and speaking your truth to power. So we're excited to hear from our singer next, and that's Brenda Ortega. We may have lost Brenda Ortega from the connectivity, so if she does jump back on, we'll definitely uplift her and her song. So with that, we're gonna try to speak with Michelle Sena again of Ochola. Hola. Unmute yourself, Ata.
I didn't work this time. Hey,
it's a lot
I'm so
better.
sorry,
Thank you.
guys.
It's quite all right. So we're going to give you about a couple of minutes. Can you tell us a little bit about Ochola and what it's like to be a small business owner here in Albuquerque, and especially as a small business owner who votes?
Well, I mean, I guess I really don't know how to answer that question. I've always voted even before I was a small business owner. I think now it makes more sense. I mean, well, you know, our life depends on it now, right? If you ask me. But as far as I'm sorry, I lost you.
You're still good. Keep going, Michelle.
I'm sorry, everything's freezing, and I think it's my connection. I'm sorry. I know we only have a few minutes, so I want to go into the fashion show. I'm sorry,
Go for it, Michelle.
Can you hear me?
Yeah, you can move into the fashion show if you'd like.
So we're just gonna go in. I'm sorry.
Cool. So while this fashion show is happening, I'll talk to you a little bit about Ochola. That's Marble on the ones and twos. And that's who's next there. This is Marble and Michelle here in Albuquerque. And this is Ochola
How long has it been? It seems like a mighty long time. So glad you stand by me, say hello to me. It seems like a mighty long time. My baby. It seems like a mighty long time. My baby. Seems like a mighty long time. My baby, seems like a mighty long time. You like the weather fall, and you know, you it'll take you on a day, take your trouble away. You read what I say, please. You fall, just give
Thank you so much, Alchola. And that, just goes to say that even and most and all Cholas vote. So Michelle Sena, you can find her art and her clothing line online at Alchola. Support your local artists. Michelle can usually be seen vending at a lot of our local community art events. And these days we're all online. So darn internet connectivity, but it was lovely the setup that Alchola took to participate with us today. So muchas gracias. Thank you so much, Alchola. All right, so we are going to move into hearing from our representative for District 2, Xochitl Torres Small. Oh, nope. Okay, I'm going to rewind a little bit. And you're not Glenn Damien, you're Brenda Ortega. So she's back with us. Yay. Okay. All right, Brenda, it's all you. And you need to unmute yourself, please.
All right, can you hear me? Can everybody hear me? All right. My name is Brenda Ortega. I'm a retired high school history teacher, and I'm the Director of Education at Luna Community College. And I also am a New Mexico singer. I've won several awards. Esta canción se les dedico a todas las mujeres. Fue escrita por mi papá Juan Ortega, El Derecho de Votar. Año 1920, un año que no se puede olvidar. A la mujer americana se lo concedió el derecho de votar. La lucha duró por muchos años. Las mujeres firmaron su petición. Ayúdennos, oh buen gobierno, para participar en esta elección. El pensamiento de las mujeres, sin duda podemos beneficiar. También su valor y entendimiento es algo que todos podemos lograr. Gracias a todas las mujeres que pelearon por el derecho de votar. Felicidades a las mujeres americanas, quienes hacen mucho por las libertades nuestras.
Celebremos ahora la ocasión. En el siglo XIX tuvo raíz el derecho humano de las mujeres para mejorar a nuestro lindo país. El pensamiento de las mujeres sin duda podemos beneficiar. También su valor y entendimiento es algo que todos podemos lograr. Es algo que todos podemos lograr.
Bravo, bravo. I wanted to throw a grito. Gracias, Brenda. You got the grito moving at me now. Bueno, muchas gracias, Brenda. Thank you so much. And now we're going to move into a video of Representative Xochitl Torres Small for District 2.
Hi, Congresswoman Xochitl Torres Small here, proudly representing New Mexico's 2nd Congressional District. As both the first woman and person of color to serve New Mexico's 2nd Congressional District, I am deeply honored to join you virtually as we celebrate 100 years of women's suffrage. Today, we recognize the trailblazers who fought to secure our right to vote, opening the door for decades of civic participation. Since then, the League of Women Voters here in New Mexico and across the country has continued efforts to improve our local, state, and national government. The long-fought battle to pass the 19th Amendment opened the door for many. But as I join you today, we also recognize there is more work to do. Every American deserves to have their voice heard, and we must continue fighting to protect the right to vote and build representation that truly reflects our communities. Growing up in Las Cruces, I was surrounded by strong women who pushed me to succeed. My grandmother, who immigrated here from Mexico and worked in the fields to build her American dream. My mom, who went to school early and stayed late after the last bell to help her students succeed. It is this community, in all its diversity and strength, that fuels me to continue the work towards real solutions, whether that's by decreasing the cost of healthcare and making it more accessible in rural communities, or by finding ways to safely rebuild our economy so that hardworking New Mexicans have access to good jobs and good opportunities. This work is about building real representation and policy that reflects the reality New Mexicans face each and every day. During the COVID-19 public health crisis, it has meant fighting for our frontline workers, for families, for children, for small businesses, and for hardworking New Mexicans across the state to make sure that no one is meant behind. It means working together and engaging to deliver solutions. So today, as we celebrate 100 years of women's suffrage, we recommit to protecting the right to vote and building representation. I'm honored to continue working with you and to do this work together. Thank you.
Yes, that was our Representative Xochitl Torres Small. We can give her some snaps for that. Here's a little poem from me to you. I have many names. Tengo muchos nombres. You may call me Malinche, goddess of grass, indigena woman of the kidnapped clan, Rosetta Stone-tongue, glassy, rain-soaked imperial jade, Moctezuma's poison trade with the white-skinned transgressor, Quetzalcoatl Cortez, flesh over the forged heat of Spanish blade, the Dutch, the French, the mulatto, the mestiza africana, rape daughters of the doctrine of discovery. You may call me the descendant of the deceased, the disappeared, the pillaged, the blood quantum kickback treaty fed by the belly fat of land grant lies. I have many names, thousands years old names, ancient mighty names. Today, you may call me 7 generations missing from my grandmother, Tonatsin, Malinali, Tlatzoteo, Ometeo, 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 Ometeo. I am the blood lineage sacrificial ancestor, progeny of the gone missing women. Call me maquiladora, flower of the factories, woman of Juarez twice bit and betrayed both by my own kin and the foreign rapist. You may call me rage, righteous, vengeful. Tengo muchos nombres. You may call me Soldadera, matriarch of the Mexicana Revolution. I was never anyone's lover, no Pancho Villa bed warmer, bullets and braids, hands thick like the skin of tamal. This is what you may call me. No, yo soy Joaquin. You may call me Llorona, shapeshifter, picket line provocateur, brown beret, skinwalker, woman of the field, hands of callus, picker of fresa, chile, cebolla, and the grape on the vine. We, the legions of farm workers bent at the spine, fingers deep into the dark earth. Today, they will call me wet nurse, wetback, under the table paid brown nanny, breast milk by proxy, but I, earth me in the shape of me, blade sharp, obsidian, flint and fired stone. I am the bloodletting and the baptismal. I have many names. Tengo muchos nombres. But you may invoke me brown skin, chola chingona, spelled with an X like the Mexica do. My ancestors who run wild in my blood, my mixed, messy, colonized, and triumphant blood. You may call me double-tongued and code switcher, river crosser, water diviner, border dweller, and burnt sage. You know me as hashtag me too, the Bridget hair of Frida's brow, snapped spinal column survivor, the late night mariachi hell eater of filth. You may call me pocha, jota, bruja, and lit from within. My name in anglicized stain, Adilaus Campesino, somewhere in the middle of Indio, California, fruit basket of the world. But now you may invoke me Dolores, Lona, Sandra, Maria, Josefina, Gloria, Diana the Huntress, Emma Gonzalez, and Alicia Garza, Patrice, Opal, Audrey, Lord, Writer, and patron saint who watches over us all. You may call me La Cazadora, Huntress, no regrets. I am the keeper of the dead. Tengo muchos nombres. You may call me Thought Woman, carrier of stories. Jeweled egg of a diaphanous web, my children spring forth from me, silver-headed, spindle-soft, ready to recreate the world, seventh generation rising. I am un malflora, the bad flower who grew despite your attempt to rename that which is nameless. Gracias, thank you. I had to get down with the poem too, y'all. All right, yeah, we're gonna move forward and we're going to hear from, and I'm just gonna give you a heads up, folks, Martha Burke, who's gonna speak about your vote and your power, and then Governor Michelle Lujan Grisham. She has sent a video over to us and a message. And then we'll speak to a group of credit unions and resource centers that advocate for women's voting. And then another collage video, but also 16-year-old performer. I think she just turned 17, actually. Felicidades. You just turned 17, didn't you, Chloe? That's right. So we're going to hear from Chloe Nixon. So that's kind of the lineup. Just want to give you all a heads up of what's coming soon. So let's please now bring in Miss Martha Burke.
Hello, can you hear me? Can you hear me?
We can hear you.
Oh, great. Hi, everybody. I'm Martha Burke. I want to thank two of my role models for producing this event, Pamela Herndon and the esteemed counselor, Diane Gibson. It's a wonderful event, and I'm very pleased to be part of it. You know, we've said many times today, it's been 100 years since the 19th Amendment was passed giving someone the vote. But they worked for that for 100 years before that. It took almost 100 years to get it. Why did it take so long? Well, the guys weren't very enthusiastic about it. They said two things. They said, women don't need the vote. They'll just vote like their husbands anyway, so I give them vote. And they all said, oh no, they'll vote and they'll take over the country. Well, we don't yet. But we do have a chance to take over the agenda of the country really strongly for the first time in history. If you don't remember anything I say to you today, I want you to remember 5 things. Women can control any election. 5 words. How are we going to do it? We already have the means. We are the majority of the population. We are the majority of registered voters, and we are the majority of people actually show up and vote. But voting is not enough unless you know what you're voting for, who you're voting for, and what your priorities are. Women have to vote together, and they have to vote their priorities. you might say, well, women have different rights. You know, if you're 23, you're 18, your powers be different than if you're 73 or 78, and that's true. And that's why I do what I do, which is advocate for women. And that is why I wrote this book. I hope you can see it. Your voice, your vote, The Savvy Woman's Guide to Politics, Power, and the Change We Need. It's about what we have, and we have a lot in this country as far as rights for women. But it's about what we need, also how far we need to go, and what we need to do to get there. And I mean just ask the candidate or for equal pay. I give you questions when you say to them, you for equal pay for women, and we get into that in a minute, and they say, oh yeah. Then you can say, well, are you on the Paycheck Fairness Act? What bills have you sponsored, and so forth. Try to give you ways to nail people down who are asking for your most precious asset, your vote. And I wanted to say in a few minutes how these things all sort together. And I'll put it in front of the COVID-19 that we're all enduring right now. As you know, or maybe you don't, but I'll tell you now, Councilor Gibson has been the leader in the city of Albuquerque on the issue of pay equity for women. And overall, I'm sure you've heard this, women make 80 cents to the dollar to men. Well, listen to these numbers when broke down by race, especially as it pertains to Mexico. 80 cents overall, that's not very good 100 years after we got the vote. But Asian women make 90 cents, white women 70 cents, Black women 62 cents. Listen to this, our state, Native American women 57 cents, and at the bottom, Hispanic women at only 54 cents on the dollar. So we have a long way to go. And it's not going to happen by itself. Women voters have to insist. That's just one issue. We have many issues in my book, Your Voice Vote. And it does ascend all age groups, all ethnicities, all different things you might care about. But Councilor Gibson has led the way on pay equity, and I want to tell you how that falls into other issues. What happens now? COVID. Kids have to stay home from school. Who's going to stay with them? In a two-parent family, it's going to be the lower earner. Who is that? The woman. So she's going to lose out on job opportunity, Social Security accrual, many other things. May lose her job altogether. And it's a single parent, it's even worse. And most of our essential workers in food service, healthcare, guess who they are? Women. And they're not making the money they need to make. So I won't take any more than my time, but I will say this. You know, when you write books, you make a lot of money, right? Oh, sure. Actually, I want to do something today. I want to give away a little money. For all you young women who have been on this program today or are watching, and this is your first time to vote, if you will get in touch with me at martha@martha.org or give me a call, Councilor Gibson's office knows how to get in touch with me. I will send you a copy of this book for free because I want you to know what you're voting for, know what the issues are, and know how to hold your elected officials accountable. If you can't afford to buy it, great. Go to martha.org. I'll sure sell one. But I really want young women to get out there, vote your issues, and know what you're voting for. Thank you so much for having me on this program. It's been great, and I enjoyed it greatly.
Thank you, Martha. We appreciate you. You are very cool. From writer to writer. Can you hold up your book one more time for us? It's
I surely can.
Your vote, your power.
Your voice, your vote. The Savvy Woman's Guide to Politics, Power, and the Change We Need.
Gracias. Thank you, Martha. Thank you for sharing your wise words with us. And make sure you visit marthaburke.org. All right. So now a few words from Governor Michelle Lujan Grisham.
Hello everyone, it's Governor Michelle Lujan Grisham, and I want to thank the City of Albuquerque and Mayor Tim Keller and the incredible City Council for inviting me to participate in their recognition of the suffragettes and the recognition of 100 years since the passage of the 19th Amendment. This celebration goes far beyond honoring those incredible women who marched to secure the vote for women all across this country, realizing for the first time ever that a true democracy has to have half its citizens available to have the right to participate in that democracy. I think it bears noting that it took another 45 years before women of color and indigenous populations were able to also secure the right to vote. Why is this recognition and this celebration so important? Because we stand today not only on the shoulders of these giants, but we are also at the precipice of re-recognizing the power of promoting, supporting, and honoring our democracy. That means getting everyone excited about voting. Young people who are voting for the very first time must be enthusiastic about having their voice heard. It's a recognition that so many women are running for office and are engaging in so many more ways at building their communities and uplifting families all across America. I join with you and stand with you today in recognizing this powerful effort for making the best and most powerful democracy in the world. Women must continue to lead, to advance, and secure every single vote. This is our moment to make sure that we stay empowered and engaged. Please celebrate our right to vote, celebrate our ability to vote, and lastly, get out there and vote. Make your voices heard.
Yeah, that was Governor Michelle Lujan Grisham. Celebrate your right to vote, she says. So you got to do what the governor says. Be like the governor and vote. Muchas gracias, MLG, for sharing that video. We're so glad to have had that message for this event. So next up is another video, and this comes from a collective, Rio Grande Credit Union, U.S. Eagle Federal Credit Union, Domestic Violence Resource Center, and CU Safe, CUSO.
Credit unions are about service to our members who are joined together in a common bond. I'm Hener Deliquina, CEO at Coast 360 Federal Credit Union in Guam. Today, we are announcing that we are strengthening that credit union bond and our communities by developing a new program to help survivors of domestic abuse. It's called the CU Survivor Alliance for Financial Empowerment, or CU Safe.
I'm Vincent Galbiati, the Executive Director of the Domestic Violence Resource Center in Albuquerque. Our goal is to help a victim break the cycle of domestic violence and heal.
I think we have just a little technical blip, so we're going to figure that out. Followed by that is another video collage from voters across the country, across our tribal lands and our territories. Well, we'll see what we're going to be queuing up next. So sit tight, my friends.
Whether that's to start a new life, a new career, or simply to get back on their feet. We're proud to be.
Credit unions are about service to our members who are joined together in a common bond. Credit unions are about service to our members who are joined together in a common bond. I'm Hener Deliquina, CEO at Coast 360 Federal Credit Union in Guam. Today, we are announcing that we are strengthening that credit union bond and our communities by developing a new program to help survivors of domestic abuse. It's called the CU Survivor Alliance for Financial Empowerment, or CU Safe.
I'm Vincent Galbiati, the Executive Director of the Domestic Violence Resource Center in Albuquerque. Our goal is to help a victim break the cycle of domestic violence and heal in order to have healthy relationships in the future. Often that means they need financial help, the kind of financial help that CU Safe can provide. It can take years to recover. The services and products that CU Safe is offering will give us and survivors the tools we need to succeed. These funds will immediately help survivors, whether that's to start a new life, a new career, or simply to get back on their feet. We're proud to be part of this project and hope the ideas that CU Safe has can help thousands more.
Long-term financial stability is key to every family, and especially those that have been shattered by domestic violence. I'm Mike Athens, President and CEO of Rio Grande Credit Union in Albuquerque. We are part of CU Safe, which is a CUSO, or a credit union service organization. CUSOs, like credit unions that own them, are dedicated to service. We've worked for 2 years on this program, which is a collaboration between credit unions and local agencies, and was created to serving people that can benefit most from innovative and new financial solutions.
We're here to make sure that long process goes as smoothly as possible and that our most vulnerable community members have the support they need to rebuild. I'm Marcia Majors, President and CEO of US Eagle, and we've made a commitment to service. Service doesn't just mean helping our members, but strengthening our entire community. We're so proud to be a part of CU Safe, and we're proud that our new US Eagle Foundation can help this groundbreaking project get started. We've made a commitment to New Mexicans because we believe that we are stronger together. CU Safe is the first service organization of its kind, and we can't wait to see it grow. So please join me in welcoming US Eagle, Coast 360, Rio Grande, and the DVRC to CU Safe, where we will make a difference in New Mexico and beyond.
CU Safe is proud to be a sponsor of the Celebrating 100 Years of Women Voting program and to be a part of the 100th anniversary of the 19th Amendment.
Yay, thank you so much for that message, and we really appreciate that support.
You can
Let's give
manage
them
your
some
team's
snaps.
work
And I
easily
love how
with
at the end too,
Monday.com.
they featured
Just
again
go to Monday.com
their,
and start tracking any project.
Overtison's graphic, an art for this event, for this historical event, 100 years, women's right to vote. So we're going to move into the next video, and that's yet another collage from voters across our country.
Hello, my name is Pat Herndon Cheney. I'm representing the state of Texas. My mother and grandmother fought for the right to vote. In 2020, I vote in their honor. I am taking a stand for what I believe in, and I am voting in 2020.
Pagalrifsi. My name is Patuk Glenn, and I'm from Alaska. And the reason that I'm voting in this upcoming election is because with 5 million Native Americans in the United States, it's important that our voices are heard.
Hi, I'm Sylvia from Nebraska, and I'm going to be a woman that votes for as my right to vote. Vote in the fall.
Hi, I'm Sylvie Roof from Lawrence, Kansas. I'm voting in 2020 because this is my great-grandmother, who was a grandmother before she could vote. This is my grandmother, who had 2 children before she could vote. This is my mother, who came from France and had to learn the preamble of the Constitution, the Gettysburg Address, all the presidents in order, and all of the states and their capitals before she could become a citizen and vote.
Hi, I'm Kelly Hook. I live in California. Voting is important to me because I believe in democracy, government by the people, and also it's obviously the chance for us to be part of something bigger than ourselves, ideally to move the world forward in a positive direction.
Hello, I am R.C. Johnson from Wyoming. As a person of color, I am voting in 2020 to honor those who fought, bled, and died to make this a more perfect union for all.
Hello, I'm Pat Miller from New Jersey. I'm voting in 2020 because I want to elect leaders at all levels who will protect our rights to quality health care for all, job security and a living wage, a good education, social justice and humane treatment for all, and a livable planet for all our children and grandchildren.
My name is Jamie Summerstein, and I'm from New York City, New York. To me, voting is so important because it's my opportunity to put concrete action behind my beliefs and make a difference in my local community as well as my country. There are so many issues that are rooted in politics, whether you personally care about
public transportation, the economy, the environment, basic human rights. There are so many issues to care about, and voting is your way of saying that you care and you want to make a difference.
My name is Molly Mueller, and I'm from New Orleans, Louisiana. While it's been 100 years of voting for women, this has not been true for all women. I'm voting in 2020 because as an environmental and social justice advocate, I seek to make my voice heard and work towards a sustainable future for us all.
Hello, I'm Teresa Castros in Tennessee, and I'm going to vote in 2020 because it's my right, my obligation, my privilege, and my voice. 100 years ago, thanks to the suffragettes in Tennessee and the representative that cast the tie-breaking vote, Tennessee became the 36th state needed to ratify the 19th Amendment to the Constitution. So one vote can make a difference.
Hello, I'm Julia Knapp. I am from San Diego, California, and I'm voting for the very first time in 2020 because I recently acquired dual nationality. I registered to vote for the very first time in a presidential election, and it's very important to me, and I am very proud of this privilege. And I think this election, more than any other, is incredibly important to the entire country. And so I'm very much looking forward to it. So this will be my first presidential election ever, and I'm proud to have this privilege and feel very honored. Thank you.
I'm Martha Allen from Vermont, and I'm voting in November because our very democracy is at stake. I'm grateful to the women who fought over 100 years ago so that I can vote and run for election to the Vermont House today.
Hello, I'm Alexis Martinez in Iowa. I'll be voting this November because this country needs a drastic change, and change starts with voting.
I'm Kristen from Virginia. I vote because I want to make sure my voice is heard. And I serve as a poll observer because I want to make sure the voices of all Americans are heard.
Hi, my name is Lisa Stratton, and I'm honored to join you all from my adopted home state of Minnesota. It's easy to forget those who fought and even died for the right to vote. But in this anniversary year of women's suffrage, I am voting for them.
Very nice. Voting means you care and that you want to make a change. I like to pull out quotes from all of those powerful testimonials of women, female identified voters from across our country, our tribal lands, and our territories. All right, so I'm so excited. I think that everybody else is really excited to hear from the recent birthday girl next, and that's Chloe Nixon. Chloe, can you introduce yourself, let us know where you're from, and then share your talent with us, please?
Yes. Hello, everyone. Can everyone hear me?
You're just a little bit low, Chloe. Maybe you might need to get closer to your speaker.
Okay. Is that better?
That sounds better.
Okay. Well, my name is Chloe Nixon. I am a 17-year-old student and singer-songwriter born and raised in Albuquerque, New Mexico, and I cannot vote yet, but I will definitely be voting next election as soon as I can vote. And I would just like to thank all of the curators of this event, all of you women for doing such an important thing, Miss Pamela Herndon for inviting me to deliver my message about police brutality through song, which is really important when it comes to voting, to be aware of the enormity of police brutality. So this is a song I wrote called I Can't Breathe. And I wrote it in dedication to George Floyd and all victims of police brutality. We are daddies, we are brothers, we are sisters, we are mothers. Afraid to lose the love we share, afraid to lose our breath of air, scared to move, scared to scream, feeling queasy, panicking. Growing up in America, we're always told that we can call 911, please help me. 911, protect me. 911, I'm shaking. 911, I'm breaking. 911, I'm crying. I'm dying. 911, come fend for me. But 911 is right in front of me. And I can't breathe, no. I can't breathe, no. I can't breathe, no. I can't breathe. Mama says keep your hands up. Daddy says hood down, pants up. You should be fine if you obey. I just wanna see you every day. But this is far more cruel. There is nothing we can do. Submission isn't danger proof in a system that wasn't made for you. 911, please help me. 911, protect me. 911, I'm shaking. 911, I'm breaking. 911, I'm crying. 911, I'm dying. 911, come fend for me. But 911 is right in front of me. And I can't breathe, no. I can't breathe, no. I can't breathe, no. I can't breathe. We can't breathe. We're on our knees. We can't breathe. We're on our knees. We can't breathe. We're on our knees. We can't keep living in fear. The bigger picture is clear. So turn off the TV and let's love each other. The news and the radio, they wanna keep us vibing low. We are stronger than we know. We overcome together, creating love together. Creating up together. Thank you.
Wow. Thank you so much, Chloe. You are one talented soul. And that's such a,
Having me, I appreciate it.
we can't wait for you to cast your vote in a year or so. You're amazing. Thank you. You inspire me. I appreciate you and your talent and using song for being an agent of change. Muchas gracias. I don't have a lot of words after that. I just need to sit with it and breathe. Lovely. Muchas gracias. All right, y'all. So next we're going to hear from one of our sponsors and an individual, amazing individual herself, Janet McHard of the McHard Accounting Firm. Hola, Janet.
Hola. Can everyone hear me okay? I don't even know how to follow what Chloe just did. I'll do my best to honor that. Thank you. That was really beautiful. I'm Janet McHard. I'm the founding partner of the McHard Firm. We're a specialized accounting and investigations firm here in Albuquerque, and we are proud sponsors of today's event celebrating 100 years of women voting. We're honored to be part of this, and I'm going to share with you just some memories of voting for me. I remember the first time I voted in a national election. It was 1984. I was a sophomore living in the dorms at UNM. I'd registered to vote in my hometown of Oklahoma City. It was really important for me to vote, and I had to submit an absentee ballot. It took me forever to read that long paper ballot. It seemed like it was like 12 pages long, and figure out all the places I had to sign and the order I had to assemble it in to get it in the mailing envelope. But it was really important to me to make sure that my vote counted back then when I was just 18. My mother had always taught me how important voting is. I'd been a passenger in the car with her through the 70s when she was hand carrying the voting records from the precincts to the county clerk's office as part of her volunteer work for the League of Women Voters. We'd spent long nights on that first Tuesday of November waiting for the mechanical voting machines to spit out their tallies. I stayed up way past my usual bedtime on those nights. But I remember those nights really fondly. Then there were the long debates my parents had over the dinner table. My dad was a Republican, my mother was a Democrat, and both of them researched the candidates. They voted across party lines to support the candidates that they found to be best qualified for the job. I'm proud of the fact that they did that, regardless of skin color. It was the 70s in Oklahoma, one of the last states to desegregate the schools. Yet my parents voted for the more qualified Black candidate over the lesser qualified white candidate. Watching them instilled in me my sense that voting and civil rights matter. They matter so much for people like Chloe. Sorry. I'm proud that I voted in every election for which I am eligible my entire adult life, and I will continue to do so as long as I am physically able to do so. It's so important to make our vote mean something. A lot of women paved the way for me and for us today. And today I honor my foremothers for giving me the right to vote. Sorry. Thank you all. I appreciate this opportunity to share. Thank you.
Thank you so much, Janet. We appreciate you so much. Thank you for all of your heart work and for your words and sharing of your story. We want to let you know that we appreciate you. Gracias. Muchas gracias.
Muchas gracias.
All right, y'all. So, Janet, I just want to give you a virtual hug. And Chloe, too. I just want to give everybody a virtual hug right now. This is a virtual hug. Let's just do it. That's awesome. Way to go. Celeste is still over there in the corner and, well, on my screen she is, and creating art for us. Don't forget to visit her page, Celeste Spoken Word Garcia. Check out more of her art. Don't forget to go to Alchuela. They have amazing handcrafted wear and jewelry and screen printing and it's all bad, eh? So you need to go check out some old chola because cholas vote too. And then don't forget 2 Stone Betties. All right, so it is my pleasure next to introduce Carolyn Chan. Welcome, Carolyn Chan.
I believe I have mine on a recording, so would you set it up, please? But I do want to acknowledge that we had Chinese women who did. Mabel Lee, who at the age of 16 in New York, was joining the parades in New York City as an immigrant who probably didn't get to vote until maybe 1965. And then we did have one woman, Tai Lim Schultz, who voted in San Francisco and is the first Chinese American woman to vote. And I think she actually got to vote maybe in 2017, actually. So we have had people that are of Chinese descent who voted very early. But I don't know if you've got my recording there, my interview. So anyway, I acknowledged what my parents went through. My great-grandfather helped to build the railroad, the Transcontinental Railroad. So my roots go back a long time on my maternal side. My dad actually came to the United States via Cuba. So he spoke Spanish too. So anyway, and then I taught school here at Old Town Elementary School, which is now Reginald Chavez. And we learned from each other. And I've actually I am 84 years old. And I have had kids that I taught more than 60 years ago who have come to me and thanked me for what I did to help inspire them, help them learn to appreciate learning and reading. So anyway, thank you very much for having me here on this program. And I hope you'll enjoy my story.
Gracias. Thank you, Carolyn. And you're 85 years young.
Thank you.
My name is Carolyn Chan. I was born in 1936 in Mississippi in the years of segregation, Jim Crow, and the Chinese Exclusion Act. I have survived and overcome those harsh barriers to contribute to equality and justice at the local, state, and national levels. My parents and their 6 children lived in a shotgun house beside our grocery store, located in a racially diverse working-class neighborhood. I attended a one-room school of Chinese American students from grades 1 through 5 until the law allowed me to enroll in white schools in 6th grade in 1947. An intense interest in civics and American history led to selection as one of my high school's 4 delegates to Girls State. I mustered the courage to run for state treasurer. My surprising victory stoked my desire to have a voice and visibility in future political and community engagement. My father rarely missed an election after he was naturalized. My mom, born in Mississippi, did not vote because she felt intimidated and unwelcome. I vowed that voter suppression would never impede my rights. After completing a college political science class, I fearlessly went to the county courthouse, aced the required literacy test on the Constitution, and paid the $2 poll tax. I successfully student-taught English in a white high school to graduate from Mississippi State College for Women, but was stunned by the caveat that I would not be hired because of my race. I then married Tony Chan and moved to Albuquerque, where I taught 5 years in the North Valley and have participated on decision-making boards and commissions locally and nationally. As national president of the Chinese American Citizens Alliance, the oldest Asian American civil rights organization, I worked with the first Chinese American woman elected to Congress, Judy Chu. We and the 1882 Project obtained congressional resolutions that apologized for the 1882 Chinese Exclusion Acts and recognized valuable contributions of Chinese Americans. The right to vote, willing jury duty, and volunteer community service are sacred responsibilities of citizenship. Protect the vote for all citizens. Stand up to racism and for inclusion. Larissa Lamb, Baldwin Chu, and their daughter Calia's musical message resonates in this very difficult time.
First I was afraid, I was petrified. Kept thinking I could never live without you by my side. And I spent so many nights thinking how you did me wrong. But I grew strong, I learned how to get along. And so you're back from outer space. I just walked in to find you here with that sad look upon your face. I should have changed that stupid lock. I should have made you leave a key. If I'd known for just 1 second you'd be back to bother me. Go on now, go. Walk out that door. Just turn around now. You're not welcome anymore. Weren't you the one who tried to hurt me with goodbye? Did you think I'd crumble? Did you think I'd lay down and die? Oh no, not I. I will survive. And as long as I know how to love, I know I'll stay alive. I've got all my life to live. I've got all my love to give. And I'll survive. We will survive. We will survive.
Yes, that was amazing. Everybody was
Thank
grooving
you.
in here.
Larissa is a friend. Larissa's a friend of ours, and she and her husband have performed here in Albuquerque, but they're from Los Angeles, and she is an award-winning singer.
Wow.
And she produced another film about their discovery, the journey of discovering their family's roots in Mississippi, and that's how I got to know them. And they're just wonderful people.
Yeah,
And
definitely.
I appreciate your sharing this with everyone.
Yeah, we'll throw some hearts at them. Let's throw hearts their way. I'm going to follow that podcast. That is one cool family, and I want to follow
They're
that
really
podcast.
great.
And thank you so much for sharing your story, Carolyn. We very much appreciate you. Thank you so much
Thank you.
for sharing that inspirational experience and stories with us. All right, y'all. So now we're going to move into another video, and this is Linda Stover, Bernalillo County Clerk, speaking on behalf of the Gutierrez Hubble House.
2020 is the 100th anniversary of the 19th Amendment to the United States Constitution, giving women the right to vote. Hi, I'm Linda Stover, Bernalillo County Clerk. New Mexico was the 32nd state to ratify the amendment on February 21st, 1920, and today we're celebrating this historic centennial. Bernalillo County and the Gutierrez Hubble House History and Cultural Center, in partnership with the Town of Bernalillo Community Museum, invite you to explore and learn about the women's suffrage movement and the upcoming general election through the outdoor exhibit and scavenger hunt. Votes for Women, a Portrait of Persistence, is organized by the Smithsonian Institution Traveling Exhibition Service in collaboration with the National Portrait Gallery. To learn more about the exhibit and where you can find it in Bernalillo County, please go to bernco.gov/votesforwomen.nm. Thank you, and remember to exercise your right to vote.
Right on. So we have our homework. We have to go online to the Hubble House. We're going to follow a podcast. We're going to read books. We're going to go shopping. And hopefully you all will be moved to write your own poem about votership. We're going to shop for art, Celeste Spoken Word Garcia. So we got lots to do. And of course, we're going to make sure that we're going to vote. Next, we're going to hear from Meredith Machen, and I hope I'm pronouncing your name correctly. Oh, it's a video. I'm sorry about that. And it says video right here on my paper. And also singer, and this I may mispronounce, but I'm pretty sure that we'll be able to hear the correct pronunciation. Sianuala Moore.
Meredith Machen and Fanula Moore.
So the internet connectivity is reared its ugly head again, but it's not too bad. We haven't had too many blips. I'm proud of the internet for being able to sustain all of this amazing rocking energy. This has just been such a powerful experience for me, and we're going to try to queue up that video very shortly, but I just want to say again, thank you to folks for participating in this, and a special thanks to Councilwoman Diane Gibson and to Pamela Herndon for all of their coordinating efforts and their hard work, as well as Abigail Stiles and Julian, who's over here. He's the DJ. He's the ones and twos, the tech guy. So we're going to work on getting that video for you. We do have one live performance left, and that is Jasmine Senecuffy. And I have seen that she is in our Zoom room. So I'm going to let you know, Jazz, that we are ready for you, and we will work on getting the video. But Jazz, you're going to be our last live performance poeta.
I wanted my hair to be extra big.
It is extra.
I know.
Welcome, Jasmine, and thank you for being here with us.
Thank you. It's hot in my office, so if I'm extra glowy, it's just because I'm happy. Okay.
All right, ándale pues, Jazz. Share with us
Okay.
your power of poetry.
Well, I gotta say I was very nervous to see that I was like the last person closing the celebration out, but it's been so powerful. And thanks to you, Jessica, you've been an amazing host, and your whole crew, who I know probably like kicked their butts to put this together and coordinate so many of us powerful voices. And so I did want to say, I took some notes because I didn't want to sound like crazy, because you've infused me with all this voting woman power energy that I just can't help myself. So I want to say happy 19th Amendment. Can you believe it's been 100 years? You know, like 101 years ago, there was like no women voting, right? And then like longer for people who look like me, right? Like 50 years more than that, right? So I'm very happy to be here with all of you tonight. And so I'm just going to go over my notes with you, and Jessica, just pop back in when I've reached my time. So thank you so much. Really, everybody has been so powerful tonight. I just want to say a shout out to Achola, because Michelle Sena, that's my sister. I love her. My whole closet is full with her stuff. I had to buy a whole cabinet to put all my earrings I've bought from Stone Betty's. And it's just so great to see this community of women that I'm not only very close with, but just even you hosting tonight. It's beautiful, and an homage, and I think an embodiment of what a vote is. Such a little thing, but it opens up the world to so much. And imagine if we couldn't be sitting here celebrating tonight with each other. So I'm just going to read you some of my notes, and then I'll get into a poem. So I just wanted to thank Crystal Zamora, the Mexica dancer, the Mexica danza, and Ebony for conjuring her magic and calling in the ancestors. She captured the challenges we face, Ebony did, as Black women, Black people in New Mexico, so powerfully and poignantly. So yes, hashtag the other 1%. Let's get that trending, because let us not forget that it's always been women of color at the forefront of the conversation and front lines of the movement to instigate and actually create change. So it is what we are born to do. It's where we come from, whether it's Ida B. Wells or Fannie Lou Hamer or Coretta Scott King or Dolores Huerta, like all of us, you know, there is so much power. And I just want to give everybody tonight that message of power. There's so many other notes I wanted to go through, but let's just do a poem. And thank you so much. And vote. Oh, I work for the post office. That's what I was gonna say. I get so excited, like for real, when I tell you. Okay, so the 19th Amendment stamp is for sale at your post office. As an employee for the post office, I work at the one on Broadway. You can go and buy them from me. I'll be nice to you. I can't like guarantee everybody else will, but we're working hard, so you know, excuse us. And as just a civilian who uses the post office, I say vote. You have to get out there and vote. It's very important. And the reasons I vote, well, one, because it's still radical, because it still makes men mad, because it's my protest, because it's my middle finger, because it's my reconciliation. Okay, that's as a citizen. Also, volunteer to like be a pollster, or like, you know, sit at, you know, like give old people a break and like volunteer to cast people's votes. You know what I'm saying? Like, be a citizen. You know what I mean? That's what it is. No matter what you're talking about, right? And make a plan. Like, don't do it on the last day. Like, go to nmvote.org or whatever have you. Okay? So that's my thing. Vote. We at the post, I mean, I don't know, all of us, but me, I know. We want to cast your ballots, okay? We're not like some crazy people trying not to. Okay, anyway, here's a poem for you guys. Imagine a long white tie tunic bird cage dress. It hangs in the lobby of heaven, remembers woman's flesh and touch of man weaved with rope, yarn, and canvas strips. It's the anatomy of a dress. tornado of fabric tamed by a wind-tunneled weaver's hands meant to clothe the sun. It's an empress's gown to greet the dawn, cocoon ribcage of thrown away things she wears, driftwood and seaweed, broken branch birch blooming insides and splintered bone. We keep ourselves caged in trappings we can't wiggle out from. Let our dress define us because it says something about us when we stand in it like this. We hold ourselves straight and steady, one foot in front of the next. Shimmy and sashay, show off our curves in the light, perk up the breasts and blush the cleavage. We create like this and dance like this. Slender and smooth, bare-legged and hold chaste for those that deserve it. Keep our power in pouches tucked under the ribcage and prove goddess like this. Decide to use our strength when we are ready, when we have to, when we have prepared well. We fight to be seen and heard, dangle from projected images and redefine ourselves through objects. And there are those who quiver when we say that we bring forth life, a light that is blinding to those who stare too long and don't revere its knowing. I choose to bind myself and unbind myself at the whims of my heartstrings. Call me Sophia. Solomon's attempt to resurrect the temple was only a feat of my closet, something to wear and worship my body. I chose you to become God, wrapped you in my knowledge and told you, listen, I will teach you, eat from me, drink from me, envy my lines perfect. I will hold reserve for you, let you stare at my brilliance and tether me here for remembering. In turn, you reveal everything. Strip naked before me and sing. I herald souls from the earth to the divine. Call me destroyer, call me Baphomet. I wear this white dress for you. Thanks so much, Jessica.
Yes, Jazzy, prophet and poet. Oh, thank you so much, Jasmine. Jazz, what year was it, Jazz, that you brought the Women of the World Poetry Slam National event to Albuquerque?
That was 2015, March 2015.
2015, we had hundreds of poets from across the country and other parts of the world that came to compete in spoken word. It was a 3-day, 4-day event, you know?
It was a 4-day event, 3 to 4 day event, basically.
Yeah.
And it was 72 women, like you said, from all across the country. And it was actually a 2-year endeavor of putting in a bid in at the end of 2013 and getting it kind of like, so it was, and you were part of that team, and it was a great, awesome experience.
It was amazing because all the palabras came to Albuquerque. It was 72 women competing, but we had hundreds of folks that traveled to Albuquerque. So thank you, Jazz. It's just a testament to her being as mighty as she is. And yes, she works at the post office. I get to see her there on the one on Broadway. So I'm gonna go get my stamps. Go get your stamps.
Go get your
all right,
stamps.
y'all. So we're gonna check back and see if we are able to load up that video. So let's do that now. And while the screen shifts in front of you, I just want to thank everybody for participating. And there might be a few little blips as they're getting it together.
Hello, I'm Meredith Machen, past president of the League of Women Voters of New Mexico and chair of its Education, History, and Immigration Committees. I do what I do because I come from a line of strong women. I give thanks to my mother and her mother, my grandma Dora Lampland, who was born in 1879 in Minnesota. That was 7 years after Susan B. Anthony voted illegally in New York and was jailed and fined $100, which she refused to pay. In 1878, the constitutional amendment calling for women's voting rights was first introduced in Congress. Dora was one of hundreds of thousands who fought for the women's vote, which was secured 41 years after it was introduced to Congress. Dora and her 2 sisters were among the first women allowed to attend college. Most educated women became teachers, the main profession open to them. Women long realized that men had more economic, political, and social opportunities than they did. Dora was a member of women's clubs, which organized food drives, cooked meals, cared for children, collected books for libraries, and made clothing. They realized, and we realized, their tireless efforts are not enough to lift people out of poverty. Suffragists worked to make sure that the platforms of both political parties supported not only the women's vote, but free public education and programs to assist those struggling with hunger, joblessness, homelessness, healthcare, and other issues. Women needed the vote so that they could elect leaders who would commit to bettering social and economic conditions. Suffragists fought for safe working conditions, fair pay, and child labor laws. Many children had to drop out of school to earn money for their families. Children as young as 10 would work 14 hours a day, 6 days a week in unsafe mines and factories to earn meager wages, unable to get ahead. Young girls worked in brothels in order to survive. There was no birth control, and domestic violence was common. Abandoned mothers had no property rights. Today we have some of the same moneyed interests trying to suppress the vote, paying low wages and preventing funds from supporting education, healthcare, public assistance programs, and reproductive rights. We must mobilize the vote and elect leaders who commit to providing safety nets for vulnerable individuals and families, quality education, affordable healthcare, and anti-poverty programs, especially now with the economic and social crises brought on by the pandemic. We need everyone to vote so that we have a representative democracy. We need to elect leaders who stand up for values, stand up for liberty and justice for all. Please help get out the vote in honor of those who worked so hard for voting rights.
Hi, my name is Fanula Moore. I'm 15 years old and I live in Santa Fe, New Mexico. This song, We're Here, is from The Right to Vote, a musical that I wrote about the brave women who fought for women's suffrage.
We're here, standing outside the White House, just like we've always been, standing outside the White House, waiting to be let in. We're here, and you can't ignore us, though we're quite as for us. We're here, we whisper as you pass us, a silent way to stand up. We're here, we'll stay here if we must do, we'll stay until we show you. We're here, standing outside the White House, waiting outside that door, standing outside the White House, working for something more. We're here, all sides will do all the talking, you'll pass us as you're walking. We're here, so that she can be in there someday, so that women can have a say. We're here, to get the right to vote. Mr. President, what will you do for women's suffrage?
Awesome. That was great. That was wonderful. That was a direct order, if you ask me. Thank you so much, Meredith, and also to our young singer. And I don't want to mispronounce her name, but I think I said it pretty.
Fanula.
Say it again, Meredith.
Fanula Moore.
Fanula Moore with a P?
No, F.
Okay,
Fanula.
names are important. Okay, wonderful.
Yeah.
Thank you so much. And that was a great note to end our evening on. And so I just want to thank everybody for participating. For those at home who are tuning in live on Facebook, who are tuning in live on YouTube, who are tuning in live on GOV-TV. Thank you to all of the lead coordinators, Councilwoman Diane Gibson and Pamela Herndon. And thanks for all the many people that it took to, put all the pieces together. And we could definitely, like Carolyn's doing, we're going to follow suit. We're going to do some snaps for all of that. This was the 100th anniversary of the passage of the 19th Amendment on Facebook Live event. And that passage of the 19th Amendment guarantees and protects the constitutional right for all women to vote in the United States. So make sure you exercise that right in the next election. And if you need to help somebody out so that they can get registered, help out a neighbor, help out a sister, help out a cousin, a prima, a tia, a grandma, because it's going to take all of us. And collectively, we are very powerful, but our individual votes, they are powerful as well. So again, my name is Jessica Helen Lopez, and I thank you for tuning in. And I wish you all a very good evening. Muchas gracias. And thank you for joining us. Thank you, everybody.